Oh, I think we're live, everybody. We're live on
Woo!
Facebook. Once again, we are on a 2-week hiatus for multiple reasons, but hey, it is what it is. Welcome
It's
to
my
the Four
fault.
Guys Round. We got to blame somebody. Welcome to the Four Guys Roundtable Show. As always, brought to you by me. No, wait, kidding. It's me, Joe. We're with Darth Paddock, Coach Jeremy. Just being silly tonight. It's a good Saturday night.
So should we start it off with a major announcement?
Good Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm coming over to your house, big guy.
Please tell me your surgery did not work and you're having another kid, because I will fall off this chair right now.
No, I don't know. I gotta schedule an appointment to go drop off a sample. So,
Make sure they're not swimming around anymore.
Which I don't know. I don't know if I told you guys about this at any point in time, but it's not like I thought it would be to drop off a sample. Like it's not like a sperm bank where you go in there and you do your whack-a-mole in in a room with some porno magazines or something like that. No, it's a home kit. You do your business at home, squirt it into the cup, and then within an hour you must deliver that sample to the place for them to the lab for them to examine it.
That makes perfect sense. They don't want you around.
I mean, maybe
what the hell's this pervert doing?
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way. You don't got to watch a porn you don't want to. You can either go on YouPorn or RedTube and watch whatever you want.
RedTube.
And then,
I'm going to check that out. No, I'm just kidding.
Watch whatever one you want to watch on your phone or tablet for free and take care of business and send it in. There you go. It all works out.
Yeah, like I had no idea, but it was interesting when they're like, okay, you're going to call this place, you're going to make an appointment, and then you'll go drop off your sample. I'm like, okay, good. Because I was no offense, but I was just like, I might feel a little uncomfortable going in there and having to do that with knowing the nurses know what you're going in there to do. Like, oh, man. Okay, here, you dirty pet pervert, go here, here's your magazine, go whack it.
So yeah, I'll be a smart ass, just walk out with a big smell. Here you go. Here you go, man. Here you go, nurse.
Here's
a little bit
sample. With just a little bit dripping on coming out the side, dripping off the cup.
Sorry, I forgot to clean up afterwards.
I mean, let's just be honest. There's some situations which are, they're just embarrassing. It doesn't matter what you're in for. Like when I had to go in, for my surgery, and they're telling me, okay, so, just, strip down and then, put the, completely and, get the gown on and then let us know when you're done. And I'm just kind of myself like, yeah, always pleasant feeling to be told to do that by somebody you've just met.
Yeah. Very true.
Especially when they gave me a hospital gown that wasn't fully tied up properly, so I had to stand there for for 5 minutes figuring out why it wasn't tied and retying it myself. And then I'm like, okay, now
man.
I told you mine didn't even tie in the back. They're like, no, that's okay. I was like, okay, I'll just stand here with my ass hanging out. All right.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't remember if mine did or either, but it was like, as soon as you're done and everything, get on the bed. So it was like, all right.
You want me to make my booty shake for you?
I wasn't so concerned about that part. I was just concerned about having a damn gown that was going to fall off the moment I put it on and be like, okay, that's great. Didn't happen.
Fun times going to the hospital for surgeries and shit.
Oh yeah. It's something I anticipate doing many times again in my life.
It's funny. I remember being 16 and when you're 16, and at least this is the way it was in Pennsylvania. I don't know how it is anymore, but you had to go physical to get your driver's license. Like you had to go take a physical,
I had to do that when I think I did. Yeah.
I can't remember if I had to do that.
I think I did.
I mean, I don't remember.
It was either that or sports. I just remember I had to go.
Sports,
and I remember, maybe I'm thinking about my sports physical. Maybe it was my physical for my sports, but I just remember having to go there. I went with my dad because I couldn't drive yet. And, you had to pee in a cup. And of course I had never done that because most kids at that age do not have to pee in a cup at any point in time. So trying to figure out how do I do this and not piss on myself.
It's always a challenge.
Which happened anyways. I was like, oh God damn it. Like son of a bitch. And then, of course, you go into the doctor's office and it's like, okay, drop them. And that's your first experience with somebody else, usually somebody else touching your junk. And that was quite uncomfortable. But to go in there for what I went in there for and have the doctor just be like, okay, drop them. I'm like, okay, here you go. Here's my stuff. Check it out, man. And then have a lady check my incisions after I went back like 2 weeks later. They check your incisions, make everything's healing okay. She's like, oh, this is healing great. You look great. I'm like, thanks.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate your approval.
Thank you. And thank you. And what are you doing?
She was a little old for my taste, but
how you doing?
Well,
the fact that I'm married.
You didn't provide that crucial piece of context, did you?
I mean, she wasn't really old. She was only like in her 50s, so she wasn't super old, just older for my taste.
Yeah, in her 50s is kind of funny because all three of us now are in our early 40s per se. So it's kind of weird to say that. Yeah. Oh, they were in their 50s, which is not too far away from where the fuck we are right now.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, so we do have an announcement. And it's not a bad announcement. It's just we're gonna have a little change. We are still gonna be the Four Guys Roundtable show, but we're only gonna be 3 people because our dear friend AJ Nitro has decided to step away from the podcast and just kind of chill and do his thing, which we completely endorse, and we're happy that he's made a decision, and he informed us all last week, which is kind of another reason why we kind of weren't here either, trying to figure everything out and that. Yeah. But we're excited for him and to do whatever he's going to do. And he might be back here and there occasionally especially if we do like a whole wrestling episode, where he can definitely lend his expertise, or if we, do a live. If we do if we do a live SummerSlam like we've been doing, because we do want to continue those. We like to talk about the pay-per-views as they're happening and make fun of them and, call good matches and stuff like that. So it's always fun. But yes, so if you tuned in to listen to AJ Nitro at any point in time, I do apologize, but he has left the show at this point in time. But hopefully you continue to watch just for our retardedness. For our stupidity. Sorry, my daughter. My daughter,
correct, sir.
Yes, if my daughter was watching, she'd probably be like, Dad, I hate when you say that word.
Which daughter?
My daughter, my oldest daughter.
Okay.
She's very politically correct. She likes to be very politically correct, especially in the teaching industry. She's very like PC to the T.
I mean, yeah,
Well, yeah, she's got to be. But if she's watching, I'm going to say this. She needs to loosen up a little bit and relax.
Can't believe you'd say that about her.
I said it to her face, too, so it's not like it's any new news to her.
Do not listen to your father on this one, please.
What is it now, too, that she's at that age where it's like, you're an adult now, so I'm going to talk to you like an adult?
No. I still talk to her like she's my kid. Yeah.
Yes,
I treat her like an adult, but she's still my kid, so I'll always give her words of advice and stuff like that if I have something that I think is of value to her.
I'm 40 years old, and my parents still talk to me like I'm a kid.
Yeah, my parents don't do that anymore, thank God.
I have a question for you guys, and this question or topic might be more geared towards Jeremy than Pat per se, since he just mentioned that. But and this might be the different ages of our parents. But right now, I feel like I have to talk to my parents like I talk to my son. Like I feel like my parents, so my dad's 78 and my mom is 70. But there's times where like I have to show them something or talk to them, or like I'm arguing with them for no apparent reason. But I feel like I'm was talking to my son when he was like 8 or 9. And like he's just not grasping the concept of what I'm trying to tell him, try to show him, try to talk to him about. And I'm just like, why is this a role reversal? Like I'm talking to my kid like he's a kid, but I'm talking to my parents like they're kids now. Like it's insane. It's insane. I don't get it. I don't know if anyone else is going through this. I don't know if it's just me or just My crazy parents, I have no idea. I don't know if it's the age of my parents. I have no clue. This is what I'm dealing with right now.
With me, I can tell you, I always accuse my parents of just never listening to anything that I say. So that's why when I, talk at them, is oftentimes shouting is involved, colorful language.
Same.
You fucking listen to a goddamn fucking thing I'm saying?
And it's like, I don't want to do that either.
You're
I feel bad.
But it's sometimes not very far off from that, and there's a reason for that. My mother hates it when I swear. I don't know why she hasn't gotten it through her head that before I talk, I'm sorry.
I'm in my 40s now. It's never changing.
We raised you in the church there, sir, and you better talk like you.
Yeah, it's not that so much, but it's like, what I have found is that she tends to hear what I say when I swear.
But no other time.
Or she at least reacts when I swear. So to me, that's kind of like sending a message to me that's like, oh, okay, so you're listening now, aren't you?
Does she then call you by your whole name, Patrick, whatever, Depew?
No, I can't even remember the last time they did something like that.
That's how you always knew you were in like severe trouble when they used the middle name. You're like, oh shit, what the hell did I do now?
Yeah, I haven't heard either one of my parents say the full name in a long time.
I'll have to ask my sister if she's done that to my nieces or nephews anytime.
I'll do it to my son.
Times.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, she probably has done it, but just like first and middle name. Like she won't also say their last name. So it'd be like Felicity Jane. And
I've done both.
Yeah, so.
Depends how pissed off I am.
Yeah, it's funny. Like with my son, I don't know where and why I started. Well, I don't know why I started doing this, but all of a sudden I started when he's not listening. I'm like, boy, you better listen to what the hell I'm saying right now. Or I'll call him son. Listen here, son. Like, I don't know why.
It's just random shit that just pops in your head and you just say it.
My wife even looked at me. She's like, did you just call him son? I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
But yeah, it's I have not had to do that with my parents.
I've said it to my son before. He was like, "What?" And I was like, "You don't understand, but I understand it. Just I'm still mad at you. Stop questioning me, damn it."
Like I'm talking for me right now, damn it.
But yeah, I haven't had to do that with my parents yet. Kind of talk to them like children. I'm gonna guess it's an age thing because my parents are just gonna turn 65 this year.
So,
I mean, my dad is approaching 72. My mother's 70 now. So yeah. My dad also, has hearing issues. So like he has to wear hearing aids. So, and I don't think his memory works as well as it once did because I know there's things I've told him about before that he's like asking me again.
My dad does that now.
Or various shit like that, or like this morning, I had to once again explain to my mother the way that Prime Video actually works. She was wanting to watch something through like the Amazon Prime Video app through the one Blu-ray player.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "It's coming, you gotta subscribe." And I'm like, I'm up here trying to pack, do shit like that. And she just like keeps like texting me, and I'm just like,
like, Mom, I'm folding my underwear. Leave me alone.
I wasn't doing that. So I finally go downstairs and I'm just like, what's the problem? And she explains to me. And I'm like, okay, this is the program you want to watch? She's like, yeah. I go, okay. Yeah. All right. Mom, you see this program 2 programs down? Notice how in the upper little left-hand corner, it has that little Prime banner? Do you see that little Prime banner on the program that you want to watch? That means it's not through Prime, meaning that you can just watch it for free. I've explained this to you before.
Yeah, it's so my parents moved from their old apartment to a new apartment, which is, I don't want to say unfortunately, but it's the apartment complex right next to ours. But anyway, it's a nicer setup. Yeah. It's a nicer setup, so on. So it's better off for them. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But I bought them a Fire Stick, right? Because we have our setup that I have is through Amazon. You know, I have the Echoes and stuff like that. I have a Fire TV that I got on Black Friday a couple years ago. So we use all the Amazon stuff, right? So I got him a Fire Stick. It was on sale, so I got it for him because, you know, I'm originally from Chicago, so my parents watched baseball. They watched the Cubs and the White Sox. So I have a MLB Extra Innings account, right? So I buy the Fire Stick for him. I set it up. I show them. I was like, I look at my dad. I'm like, you're not going to remember what the hell I'm telling you. And I'm showing it to him. And I look at my mom. I'm like, you usually are better off with this. I said, can you pay attention as well? So it's like I have two 7-year-olds sitting on the couch talking to them like they're 5-year-olds, showing them how to do this. And it's like, click, 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 done. Maybe another click, but still done. He calls me last week. So I have a question for you. So I pressed the input button on the one remote and I went to HDMI 1. And I pressed the center button on the other controller for the Fire Stick thingy. Nothing's happening. I'm like, completely nothing. Nope. It says no connection. And I'm like, I was going to ask him, you know what? Unplug it from the TV and plug it back in. And I'm thinking to myself, nope, not even going to attempt that because something else would break. I was like, I'll be over there on the weekend to fix this. I go over there. It's unplugged. I'm like, was this moved? Oh, I moved the TV because the TV they have like the stand, you can swivel it. So I guess he swiveled it because I noticed the TV was like all jacked. He swiveled it, and the way the cord got caught on the TV stand thing, and it unplugged the power adapter for it. And I'm like, why is the TV so jacked up? First off, well, I need to see it. I'm like, did you have to move it like you were like moving the furniture and you just decided to jack the whole TV? So I refixed the TV. I'm like, what? Like, this is how it should be. So I had to plug it back in. And I'm like, now, do as I told you the first time. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
this is my dad will randomly call me. Can't get into the website. Okay. I don't know. So because my parents have Android phones, they'll like video chat me on Duo. And my dad, you know, sometimes he can figure out, he remembers how to press the button to turn the camera around. Sometimes he doesn't, and he just turns the phone around. He's like, can you see this? What can you see? It's like, oh my God. I told my son, I'm like, listen, you're 12. I said, I'm giving Nana a pop-up 2 more years of my sanity. I said, and I'm going to tell Pop-Up that anytime he needs something, he's calling you. He's going to duo you, FaceTime you, because I ain't dealing with it anymore. So he goes to me, no, I'm not. I was like, oh, yes, you are. I'm not helping him anymore. You can help Nana Pop-Up. It's your job now.
Choice, boy.
You know, it's funny. I used to get those calls from my dad, but now that they've had a computer for so long and stuff like that, he doesn't seem to have those technical issues anymore. He actually has to teach me how to use his TV because they've got way more controllers than I do. I have one controller that does everything. They have like 6 controllers for their TVs anymore.
Yeah,
it's a little ridiculous.
I legit have 2. I only need 2. And just because of my setup. But I mean, wow, 6 controllers. Jesus God.
Yeah. Well, let's see. In the one room, we got the cable box remote. We got the TV remote. We got the Roku remote. We've got an old Roku remote, which doesn't work, which I don't know why we haven't thrown it away. There's supposed to be a remote for the Blu-ray player, which we currently cannot find. And while we were looking for that remote, I found this universal remote that I bought for myself a couple of years ago, which I did program with everything that's there. And I was like, I'd wondered where this thing had gotten to. And it was like down in like inside like the couch cushions, of course, you know. But
yeah,
My dad has become my adept at navigating the stuff, and he knows how to get to the Roku, and especially because we have the MLB. I have MLB TV, and I found that it works a lot better through the Roku than through the smart app through the television itself, because I have the TV that has the apps on and everything.
Yeah, smart TVs. Yeah, some of those things do work better through the actual thing than because the smart TVs, as nice as they are, their Wi-Fi is not always very good. Sometimes it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, this TV is not that old. This TV is not any more than 3 years old, but it's like it was very laggy when we tried to do it through there. So I'm just like, you know what, Dad? I'm pretty sure the Roku's got the MLB TV app too. Let's try it through there. And we did, and it worked so much better. And we're like, well, we know what that means. Stick it here. But he can pretty much navigate all that stuff and everything. My mother, that was still just completely helpless. She just always has that. How do I get it to there? How do I do this? And I'm like,
yeah. So it's funny because
I said, let me show you. This is the television remote.
Dude, you gotta get one of those printer things where you punch in the black. Remember the old black tape that you could punch in the letters to, and then stick it on the remote TV.
Yeah.
The label makers,
makers.
The old school label makers. Sweet.
If you want to switch it to the Roku so you can watch the new Outlander episode before it hits the television tonight, which was what happened with the last season of Outlander, so you need to first use this remote to change the input from the television, or the cable box rather, to the Roku player. Okay. Then once you're in the Roku player input, then you use the Roku remote to navigate to the Stars app.
Pat's gonna get 90 calls from his mom once he moves out to be like, Patrick, I can't get the Roku to turn on.
Well,
you're going to feel my pain, Patrick.
The good thing about that is that, I'm not going to have a home phone at the apartment. So just be my cell phone. And I keep my cell phone on silent.
I'm sorry. I didn't feel it buzz. It was on the nightstand. I'm sorry.
I'll never know when it rings unless I'm looking right at it.
Yeah, I made it easy.
I'm not going to be staring right at my phone waiting for them to call.
I made it kind of easy for my dad when he comes over to my place, because I just made it easy for everybody at my house, because the Fire TV I got have an Echo, and the Echo works with the Fire TV. So I'm just like, Alexa, turn on Fire TV. Okay, boom, turns on my TV. Alexa, switch to game console. Okay, switches the game console for me. I'm just like, sweet. I don't care how lazy this seems. I set it up this way, and I'm going to continue to use this shit.
It's not so much about how lazy you seem in that instance. It's more along the lines of they're listening to you.
Yeah, whatever.
You can listen to me all they want.
Yes, they're not going to get much.
They can record all the time. As I ask Alexa their dirty things too if they want to. Then I got to make an excitement out of that. Whoever's listening out there.
Yeah, we
good.
It's very interesting. Randomly, we don't even say anything, and she'll just come on and start telling us something about the weather or something. I'm like, what the fuck? Is she possessed or something like that?
The temperature at the present moment is 83 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the current humidity levels, the heat index makes it feel like it's 120.
I know I've said
very humid today.
I know I've said Lexi one time. I've said Lexi one time just to kind of test it out and see words that have that may sound like Alexa, and it still some of the words I've used, triggers it to start the blue ring around that glows and stuff like that. I'm like, oh. Would you like to chat with me today?
Well, it's funny because if you program it, if you have a profile and you say, thank you, Alexa, it'll say, you're welcome, Jeremy, or you're welcome, so-and-so. Yeah. My wife tries to do it. She doesn't have a profile. She's like, it doesn't say my name. It's not nice.
Well, my wife gets pissed off. My wife gets pissed off sometimes. She's like, this goddamn thing isn't working for me. I was like, well, if you were nicer to her, she would work for you. And she gives me the evil eye. I'm just kind of just saying. Then I'm like, Alexa, can you turn on Fire TV, please? She turns it on. I'm like, see, all you had to do is say please, and I just walk away. And I get the stink eye. It's fucking great.
While your wife is planning how to slowly poison you to death.
Yeah, probably.
Well, no, if his beard starts falling, his beard hair starts falling out, we know there's a problem.
When you see patches and it looks really weird.
Joe, get out of the house now.
I'm not feeling good today. Just not. My stomach. I got the poopers. I don't know what's going on.
Oh God. Oh man. So today was an interesting day. Drove in, took my lawnmower to a lawnmower repair place because it doesn't want to freaking start. And the guy's like, yeah, that's probably the carburetor's probably like all gummed up and stuff like that. He's like, oh, here, let me show you what they look like. He pulls out this. He's like, and they're all goddamn. He's like, they're all freaking plastic now. He's like, it's so sad. He's like, they're so cheap. I'm like, well, that's how they make more money. You know, they put cheap plastic parts in and charge you the same amount. Good old capitalism. But so I did that, and then I came home, did the vacuum. I told the kids I got to vacuum before we can go on our nature hike, because my son has been like begging me. He's like, I want to go, and I want to go on a hike. I'm like, okay, buddy, we'll go on a hike. And I like being outside. I like being outside, walking trails in the woods. Like that is like my freaking, you know, that's my getaway. Like if I could just go sit in the woods every weekend and like for an hour, a couple hours, like I would be in heaven. Like between that and sitting outside in my next to my fire pit and just having a nice little fire going, like that just relaxes me after like a long week. So we go on a nature hike, and man, it's a good thing we were in the woods because it does block a lot of the heat and stuff like that. But man, was it freaking humid as hell. Like it was 80 degrees and like 80% humidity. It was like, bleh. So
see, I don't miss that at all. That humidity up there in Pennsylvania, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucks, but it was nice. Like we got outside. The kids loved it. We were walking by Monocacy Creek, right down near where your old house was in Bethlehem there. Not too far from where you used to live. You know, walking along the creek and, you know, enjoying the woods, and the kids loved it. They were throwing sticks and stones in the river, you know, in the creek and stuff like that, like kids should be doing. They were excited to see like ducks, you know, waddling down the creek, and gooses and squirrels, and we saw a couple deer. There were some kids I thought it was pretty funny. There were some kids, somebody must have hung up a rope swing at some point in time, like over one of like the few deep areas in that creek. And, these kids were, trying to get out to the rope swing. And one of the kids was like, man, he's like, it's cold. I said, and it always will be. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I said, you're in a creek. It's constantly moving. You're not really going to see this. You're not even standing in the same water you were 30 seconds ago. You know, he's like, oh,
newsflash, buddy.
Today's boy, what are we teaching these children today? Even I understand. Even I understood the concept of the way that rivers and creeks flow.
Just now, though, right? Just kidding.
I used to like going to Monocacy. There was times when I was younger, I would just go there by myself, just to kind of, I don't know, decompress, just get away from things. It's just a nice area to kind of just walk around and stuff.
Yeah, it's quiet. It's peaceful. Though I did see one couple, and you know, it's none of my business, but when I'm walking with my kids and I see two people like
hands on each other's pants.
No, not that indecent. And it wasn't that they were being indecent. I just think they were, for my comfort level, like me and wife are not very big PDA. Like we'll give kisses or hugs in public. Like that's about it. But some people go much more than that. And you know, to each their own, that's fine. Well, they were sitting on a bench, and I don't know if you remember how small these like little benches that they have set up. They're not, they're like about the size of a 2x4 wide. Like they're not very wide. Mm-hmm. And they're both sitting on it. They're facing each other, and their legs are wrapped around each other. And I'm like, okay. And they're smoking something. I had no idea what they were smoking. Like I couldn't tell. And, you know, my youngest daughter, she's like, oh, whatever they were smoking, they were passing it back and forth. I'm like, oh, okay.
Maybe they were vaping.
Yeah.
Vaping. I mean, if it was marijuana, you really would have fucking known if it was marijuana.
No, I didn't smell any marijuana, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. But I was just like, oh, okay. I was just like, oh, all right, that makes sense. But it was just like, it was just uncomfortable. I'm like, I feel like we're not supposed to be here right now because they're going to try and do something more than just kiss and, tongue. I'm like, I feel like they're maybe we're getting ready for something else here in this public area of Monocacy Creek Nature Walk. I'm like,
They were passing around the vape stick until you guys walked by so they can pass around something else.
Well, it was just weird because I couldn't see the trail, like where the bench was sitting and where they were blocking the trail on the other side. So I'm like, does the trail end here? I'm like, what the hell? Like, I can't see the other side. And like, I like stuck my head around and I'm like, oh, there it is. So I think, okay, come on, kids, let's go. And then all of a sudden they're like giggling. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, you guys are weird, like weird people, like right here.
Young people being young people.
No, they were not young people being young people. They were older.
Oh, they weren't young.
I'm pretty sure that the lady and gentleman were older than I was.
Holy shit, they were. Some
and if
old
they
people
weren't, they
getting it on.
definitely if they weren't, they definitely looked older than me.
Oh, they were. They were reminiscing about their times when they were in their early 20s, I guess.
But my favorite thing that happened today, well, I shouldn't say my favorite thing.
Excuse me.
My favorite thing that wasn't my kids that happened today and all the things that they were getting to experience on that walk is there was two gentlemen. One was fishing, and I think the other one just got done fishing. And he's talking to this gentleman, and he goes, and this was just the weirdest thing. So this guy's got a goatee like Darth Pat, and it's completely white. His hair is completely white. And the guy goes, man, you don't look a day over 25. I was like, really?
Sweet.
Like,
that's
really,
the best
sir?
shit ever.
And he goes, yeah, I get that a lot. I was like, you do not get that a lot. Like, shut up. Nobody's telling you look 25, you fucker.
With that white hair, all that white hair.
Especially after he said he was married for 50 years to his wife. I'm like, nobody's telling you look like you're 25. Shut up. But
Yeah,
I'll say this. He definitely did not look like he was in his 70s or close to 70. He definitely looked like he could be 50s, like mid 50s. So I will say he did look younger than what he actually was. But he sure the hell did not look 25.
Yeah, he had some good genes there if you look that. If you look that old.
So that was just
age range.
That was the funniest thing I saw or heard today. I was like, whoa, okay. But yeah. My daughter kind of freaked out. It was kind of funny. There's a part on that trail where you can walk over the bridge. Like there's that the railroad track bridge. And you can walk under it, or you can go up and around and walk down to the other side of the trail. And I was like, well, just go under it. So we go under, and she's like, oh, this is weird. People eat down here, because you could see like the McDonald's bags and shit. Like people just leave their garbage there. And I was like, yeah, it's a little weird. And then we come back. She's like, I don't want to go. I was like, well, how are you going to get up to the other side? There's no trail to go up on the side that we were on when we were coming back. She's like, I don't want to walk under. I was like, just walk under. It'll be fine. And we're walking under the second time. I'm like, it smells like liquor down here. It's like, it's like, smells like
got the bourbon and whiskey.
So somebody's been drinking a lot of booze down here.
Probably. Most definitely. So we went to King's Dominion the other day.
Yeah, I saw. How was that?
It was fun. It's a nice park. Like if you had to give me an option of like, I don't know, Hershey Park, Busch Gardens, and King's Dominion, I would probably pick one of the other two over King's Dominion. It's a nice park overall. It's a clean park. One of the bummers to it is that the Intimidator, which is the one that's like their tall one that goes straight up and then straight down.
Okay.
It was working when we got there. And we went on this roller coaster, and I cannot remember the name of it. But first, before we were going to go on it, so after we get off that roller coaster, was an indoor roller coaster, which was really cool. We went over to the Intimidator, and there was like people going in line, but then people coming off, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And then we heard there was a lady saying, it was like, oh, well, you can get in line if you want to, but they're doing some maintenance because something's not, driving properly. I'm like, all right. So we're like, we'll come back. So we come back, still not working. Then it was working. Then it's not working. I was like, God damn it. So they completely shut it down then for the day. So we didn't go on the Intimidator. We went on every other roller coaster except for the Intimidator. And they had one of those, if you remember, Jeremy, when AJ got married, we went to the amusement park, right?
Yes.
So remember the roller coaster, the hybrid wood one that Mickey lost his wallet on?
Oh yeah, shit, yes.
So they have one of those at King's Dominion.
Yeah, I think it was
That was
Revenge
like
of something. I think I can't remember the exact
something
name,
like
but
that. So they have one like that, similar track layout, but a little bit different as well. So like I was super stoked to go on that. We all were. We go there. That one's not working either. I was like,
ah,
oh, you're fucking kidding me. So the two roller coasters I want to go on the most were not working that day. But all the other ones were cool. And the one thing I will say, maybe it's I'm nitpicking, maybe not. But the
okay.
roller coasters they had there, well, of them were like kind of old school. They were older ones. I will tell you, there was two of them that I sat in that I struggled to sit in. Like I'm talking like I couldn't. I had to cross my legs per se in front of me to feel comfortable because of being 6'2" and trying to fit in there. And there was the one ride. It's kind of like it's a cool roller coaster. You're like in a car, and it was like a roller coaster, kind of like like a Hollywood scene, like stunt roller coaster per se, where you go up and there's like a helicopter shooting at you and shit like that, and some other stuff. But when you sit in there and the way you sit, I'm gonna be honest, my balls got squished. Like I was fucking like my shit was squished. Like I sat in there, I sat down, and I got in, and I was like, oh, this seat, what the fuck? And I'm sitting there, and and I'm like, and the one dude is looking at me. He's like, kind of shook his head, like, "Yep, I know what you're going through, buddy." Because he was tall. I was like, "God damn!" I'm sitting. I was like doing this. I couldn't get comfortable, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I was like, "Screw this!" I went down and I was like, just moving my shit around in front of everybody.
I don't care who sees me move my balls.
Don't care. Like it was like I was squished. It was like, this is ridiculous. Almost, Pat. That's almost how I looked. It was very close. That was a very good reenaction. But yeah, some of the roller coasters, man, I felt like I was too big for the fucking seats, like too tall, whatnot for them. I was struggling to fit in, especially some of the wooden roller coasters. I just like felt like my knees were like in my chest and shit.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it was fun. It was a fun time. The indoor roller coaster was pretty dope, though.
I've run into those issues over the years. Last time I was at Hershey Park, which goddamn it, probably over 20 years ago now. There were one or two of the roller coasters where I didn't feel like I fit great. And
Probably the Comet would be one of them. That's an old ass roller coaster with an old ass train.
I don't remember if Comet was one of them, because I'm struggling to remember now. The one time I went to Six Flags Great Adventure, went on Batman the Ride. Like one of the ones where it's like, an over the shoulder harness and everything. When they shoved that thing down at me, I remember going,
Yeah.
The last time I went on Space Mountain at Disney World was 2007. When we were there again in 2017, I didn't even think about it because Space Mountain's big thing of being like, a dark indoor roller coaster and everything. It moves through some tight spaces and everything like that. And it's the cars are just not for tall people. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with my weight. Probably doesn't help. But this was really all height because I went on with my sister, my younger sister, and I'm like getting onto it, grab the thing, pull it up. It only came up about as far as like my inner thighs.
You're good. No problem. Don't worry about it.
And
you're right.
And it was very much pressed into them. And if you've ever been on Space Mountain, you'll know.
Yep.
But all it does is twists and turns and everything. So every twist and turn, I was in pain. Because the thing just immediately going, right, just digging into me. So I didn't even try to go on that again. And I have a feeling I probably never will again unless they like make the cars bigger because.
Well, yeah,
and now that I weigh more too, I'm pretty sure it won't be good. And then, the Avatar ride, like the main Avatar ride, I couldn't fit into the thing because it's like you're sitting on what amounts to like a stationary bike. And again, it's not really for tall people. you have to be able to get your legs back in such a way that they can like close these restraints on them. It's like you're simulating flying in one of those things from the movie. I don't know if you remember the movie and everything. So you have to be able to put your legs back far enough that they can secure your legs in the restraints so that you feel the ride, I guess you could say, and everything.
You're gonna feel the ride.
but then also it's like your legs have to like the bike, it has like handles and everything, so it has like this like top piece which your legs also have to be able to fit under. Well, the combination of those two things I just couldn't do, so I couldn't go on it.
Oh, it sucks.
That's weird. And that wasn't really because I'm overweight. That was really just because I'm too tall. Because it was like I'm trying to like pull my legs back and like have my legs underneath the thing. And I'm saying to the guy, yeah, I'm just not working. He's like, well, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go on then. And it's like,
damn. You know what I found weird too?
2.5 hours in line.
Yeah.
Kick your ass, man. You put me in this fucking thing. Help me out.
One of the weird thing is, first time I've seen this. I don't know if this is something new. I didn't see it when we were at Busch Gardens 2 years ago. Maybe it's something different. But King's Dominion, when you go in the amusement parks now, you can have your kid go up and stand against the board, see how tall they are, and they get like a little wristband now for what rides they can go on. They actually had a section on there that what rides you can't go on if you're this height or above. So if you're like over 75 inches, you can't go on this ride, or this ride. And I was
you'll be decapitated.
Like I haven't really seen that before, and I don't remember seeing that at Busch Gardens.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, neither have I.
And that would definitely apply to me because I'm 6'4", so that's 76 inches. So.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like there was like, if you're this tall, you can't go on this ride, or this ride. And I was
but what if I duck down? Will I be okay if I scrunch my neck down?
Yeah.
If I ride like a turtle, am I okay?
You're talking about like, if I duck down, am I going to be okay? I don't know if you ever saw, there was a Family Guy episode where there was like, it was a joke where like Stewie's on Splash Mountain with like another family of like 7, because I think it's like a maximum of 8 people that can fit in one of the logs, if you will, on Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
And they like ask him to like duck down so that he won't be in their family picture and everything. And he's like, oh, you know what? No, I'm not going to duck down. I'm going to stand up. And then like, you see the aftermath then. It's like, you see 2 pictures in a row. It's the first one of the one that Stewie's in, and it's just his body with blood coming out of his neck. And then you see the next one, and it's like an African-American family who are all like, because Stewie's decapitated head with a huge smile on his face has like landed in there, and they're like,
oh man. One thing I have to say, King's Dominion has a lot of good different varieties of food to choose from. I will say that. They do have a good variety with that. So it's kind of cool. Not your old, you want to get chinker fingers and French fries. Do you want to get a hamburger? Like they had like a different variety, a lot of good choices to choose from. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. So I like that part, the aspect of the park. Overall, though, it was a good time. We had fun.
Good.
It opened at 11 and it closed at 7. We went there at 11 and we stayed till it closed at 7.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, you were saying about Space Mountain. Last time I was on Space Mountain, we had my my middle child, who she's now 10. She was 5 at the time, and she's like I love roller coaster kids, which is cool, but she's also too daring when it comes to roller coasters. So we took her on Space Mountain, and she's sitting in the front. And I'm sitting on the back because my wife's like, "Oh, you can go with her. I'll go by myself. It's okay." I'm like, "All right." She throws her hands up. I'm like, oh my God, you're so skinny. You're going to fall into the fucking car. I'm like trying to grab onto her in front of the freaking in front. I'm like, no, put your hands up.
She's just going to slide up and go, Supergirl, here I come.
Well, yeah, because she's so damn tiny that she like, especially at that age, they put the lap bar and it didn't all the way touch. Like it was clicked all the way down that they could do it, and it wasn't hitting her lap. So I was like, you need to hold on. Because I was not that it probably would happen, but I was like, I'm a fucking dad. I'm like, I don't want my kid to fall out of a fucking roller coaster, especially in the dark. Yeah. Not gonna be able to see her, And but yeah, she's the daredevil. She threw her hands up. I was like, oh my God, like you're gonna die. Stop. like yelling, "Put your hands down!" She's like, "Ah!"
Always
like, "Oh my
thinking the
God."
worst, but that's what we do. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and you also just because I'm such a Disney World fanatic, I love following like the various Disney World like websites that are out there and everything.
Mhm.
Like I'm always fascinated to read about like the food because they have a wide variety of food, I think, in the theme parks, and they also have the special events like at Epcot. They have the Food and Wine Festival, which when we were there in 2017, I actually had the misfortune of both days we decided to go to Epcot. That was going on, and it just made Epcot all the more crowded. And it was like we didn't really plan that out well.
It was fun though. When we went down there, we went down in October for the Halloween thing, and they had the Food and Wine Festival. It was called.
That's when we were there. It was late October, early November. So
yeah, that was awesome. I had fun at Epcot that night.
But I was reading an article today, which then led me to another article, which was from a few months ago that was entitled, this on the Disney World blog, allears.net. They had an article from back in March called, "Are you brave enough to try these snacks at Disney World?" One of them included this one hot dog that they sell at Disney Springs, which is just completely overloaded with stuff. It's called the King Dog. It's an all-beef hot dog in a French toast batter dipped and cereal crusted bun, topped with a spicy peanut butter spread, banana honey mustard, chipotle berry preserves, and pieces of billionaire's bacon. The picture looked ridiculous, but this was what I found more interesting. So at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, there's the cantina called Oga's Cantina. And I went through that menu a few weeks ago and was like looking at some of these insane sounding alcohol drink concoctions they've come up with. Well, they have one called the Fuzzy Tonton. All right.
Ooh.
So listen to this.
Sounds kind of, I was going to say, it kind of sounds dirty.
Sounds very sexy to me.
Perhaps the most talked about drink and one that you really need to feel adventurous to try is the Fuzzy Tonton. This cocktail is made with Ciroc peach vodka, Ball's peach schnapps, and Simply Orange, topped with tangerine and pure cane sugar. Basically, a fuzzy navel. Sounds good, right? But what you may not know is that this drink will make your mouth go numb. Seriously. The Buzz Button foam on top is made from an edible Szechuan flower that is said to be a natural painkiller. As such, it makes your lips numb while you sip.
Of like,
that's awesome.
It's kind of like it's lidocaine per se.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Last that long, and it makes for a fun story from your galactic travels. Oh, we should probably mention we think the cocktail tastes delicious.
I'd still drink the shit.
Yeah, I know. Like this is awesome. Punch me in the face.
It's
come on, Kylo Ren, put him up.
They come up with this drink again that makes your mouth numb and everything, and so
they
awesome. They put it into the Star Wars land. And you know, it was reminding me of that scene from The Rundown when Rosario Dawson has The Rock and Sean William Scott eat that fruit that makes them like hallucinate, and then like they go like numb and everything.
Yes.
And then
we're talking about, yep.
He uses it on like the father at the end and everything, which was kind of funny. But it just I'm thinking like, oh yes, a fruit or drink that makes you go numb, knocks you out. Just thinking of that shit.
And we put it in Galaxy. In the Star Wars themes.
Yeah, there were some other fairly disgusting things on this list. Like there's one place in the Japan Pavilion, Epcot, that sells what they call crunchy crabs.
Does not sound that.
What kind of STD is that?
Dude, I got the crunchy crabs.
they're like little crabs.
The SpongeBob,
shell and all, that have been dried and coated in sugar, starch, soy sauce, and mirin.
Urine? What? What?
Mirin. I don't know what that is.
Neither do I.
And then they also mentioned that sometimes in the Mexico Pavilion they serve mezcal with crunchy seasoned grasshoppers.
Nothing like a good grasshopper in the morning.
Those fucking delicacies can go out the door.
And going with mezcal too. And then there's at one place at Disney Springs that says they serve this cookie called the Eternal Flame Cookie, which was a dark chocolate cookie laced with ancho, cayenne, and cinnamon, topped with chocolate covered cherries. And if that wasn't enough for you, you could get the Eternal Flame extra spicy cookie, which is the same as the original, but with extra heat and sprinkled red sugar crystals on top.
Nope, I don't want my cookie to burn my face off. Okay, I'll pass.
I don't want to eat it baked good and be worried that my mouth's going to be on fucking fire afterwards.
Are we making cookies into the new hot wings? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like, here's your habanero chocolate cookie.
But I'm just saying, so this is an example of the fact
Sauce
that
of death on a cookie.
they get pretty damned adventurous down there at Disney World with some of the shit that they come up with.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's not the first time I heard of chocolate and hot stuff, like mixed together, like peppers and chocolate. But that's against my religion to mess with my fucking chocolate. All right, don't be putting hot shit in my chocolate. It's against the religion.
No, not at all.
That's crazy.
Same with bacon. I love bacon and I love chocolate, but please don't mix the two for me. I don't want chocolate covered bacon. I don't like. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it tastes great, but I don't want it. Don't do it to me.
I haven't done that yet.
There's various things out there where I hear people talk about it. I just go like, ugh, and like the whole, like, I don't know if it's really still around, but I remember a couple of years ago there was all that deep frying sensation.
They still do that, like fried Oreos, fried Twinkies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like I'm like, okay.
On.
Here's a Twinkie, it's already one of the worst things you could possibly eat. I don't care. I love
sugary sponge cake, filled with cream.
I'll buy a box every once in a while still and everything, but it's like so this thing is bad enough for you as it is. Yeah, let's go deep fry it and then eat it.
It's delicious, to be honest. I've had one.
I don't get it.
I've had deep fried Oreos. Like my oldest loves those fucking things. She's like, every time we go to a fair or something, she's like, oh, I wonder if they have deep fried Oreos. Oh, they do. Good. I'm getting those. And I tried them. They don't taste bad, but for me, I'm like, I don't want my Oreos deep fried. Like, I like my I'm weird. Okay. Most people are like, ooh, I love Oreos because I break them apart. I lick the center out. And then I eat the cookie. I like my Oreos, believe it or not. I like my Oreos stale, like where they start to get soft because the package got opened and somebody left it open. Like, I like them that way because I'm not a big crunchy cookie person. Like, I don't like my chocolate chip cookies crunchy. I don't like my Oreos crunchy.
You get the soft Chips Ahoy's, don't you?
The cut out sugar cookies,
they're good.
I don't. Yeah. Those got to be soft. Like, my wife makes them, and I'll only eat hers because hers are soft. My mom makes them. They're like a freaking, it's like a brick. The thinnest brick ever, but it's like a brick. You just snap it, and you're like, oh, my God.
The old school way.
And her chocolate chip cookies are the same way. I love my mom, but her cookie, her baked good cookies, like the cookies, the only cookie I eat of hers is her chocolate, either with white chips or chocolate with peanut butter chips, because those are actually still soft. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of hard cookies. Like, that's one thing I like soft. And yes, I do get the Chips Ahoy soft. So
I do as well. I'm not gonna lie.
My favorite cookie to buy, though I don't buy them very often because they're ridiculously overpriced, is Wegmans cookies in the tubs of Wegman cookies. But they're like $15 for a tub of cookies. That's a little too much for me.
I avoid that issue pretty easily. I just don't go to Wegmans.
Yes, well, neither do I. I've gotten them one time, and that's it, because I refuse to pay. I just can't. They're fucking cookies, man. They're not made out of gold. It's a fucking chocolate chip cookie. Like,
just overpriced stuff. Yeah,
it's super overpriced. But they're like they're just so chewy gooey. Like, it's awesome. Like,
yeah, when you talk about like sweets that are overpriced, I remember Pulp Fiction where they're talking about getting like the $5 shake and everything. And it's like, now that's almost 30 years ago now. But it's like, now here we are in 2021. It's like, you can't get a milkshake at a fast food place for less than $5, it seems.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, because we went to Burger King. Thursday's like kind of a rough day for us because my daughter has cheer, so she goes, well, she doesn't have cheer, she has like she goes to a gym and is learning to do more athletic stuff, more difficult. What the hell would you call it? She's a whiz. I'm so brain dead half the time. She's learning like back tucks and yeah, thanks.
That she's like, yeah.
So she's learning like back tucks, back handsprings, front punches, like all these things that you see Olympic gymnasts do. So she's learning more gymnastic stuff to be able to do more on the cheer when she's doing cheer. But that's always so like Thursdays always just end up being like a run around day. And as much as we want to try and have a dinner at home, it just doesn't always work out. So we went to Burger King the other day, and you talk about the milkshake. The milkshake I think was $3.29. A funny story is my daughter, she believes like evidently Burger King must have ran at some point in time like this mini milkshake thing that they did. And because she got it one time with her friends, every time we go now, if we ever go to Burger King, she's like, get the mini milkshake for me. I'm like, they don't have the mini milkshake. It doesn't exist. I asked last time, but could you just check this time? I'm like, it doesn't exist. Stop asking about the mini milkshake. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, that was like a brief experiment. Like it was like a trial thing. I think it was. I remember that.
Yeah,
that didn't last too long.
That reminds me of another Family Guy episode where Stewie's like, brought the entire cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation to spend time with him, and they go through the drive-through the McDonald's, and they're like, do they have the McDLT? He's like, they haven't had that for years. Well, they have all the ingredients. Sometimes it's a regional thing. If you ask me, no, we're not doing that. It's like, I'll have a Shamrock Shake. What? It's July. They don't have Shamrock Shakes. It's like some McDonald's have Shamrock Shakes year round. No, McDonald's has Shamrock Shakes year round.
No, they don't.
And I think they also mentioned the McRib and breakfast all day, and that was like before they started doing the all day breakfast, which I know they don't do again right now. I think they suspended that during the pandemic, and they haven't brought it back yet. But like, I thought that was when like one of them said like, can we still get breakfast? Like it's no, like some McDonald's have breakfast. No.
Yeah, I like the McRib too. I like when that shit comes out.
Well,
that's one thing I'll get at McDonald's.
I don't like the Shamrock Shake. I won't. I just can't do that. Mint milkshakes just weird me out. But
yeah, I'm not a big mint person for that.
Yeah.
But it was really funny talking about the McRib. I heard a comedian doing a skit one time, and it was about like Black History Month, and like when the McRib comes out. The McRib comes out in fucking February every year. Like, I mean, unless of course they run like a special promotion, but why does the fucking McRib only come out in February? Like, what the hell kind of shit is that? That's what the comedian was saying. He's like, what the fuck? Like, the McRib only comes out in February during Black History Month. Why is that?
I never even paid attention to that before. I never.
I'd have to look it up to see if it's still really like that. But I mean, when he was doing his skit, evidently it was that was the time frame. I don't know when that skit was from, but it was really fucking funny. I'm like, oh my god.
As far as I can remember, the last few times that I remember them doing the McRib, it was like around Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because I don't ever eat the damn thing, so I've never had a McRib in my life.
But I think this year was end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah. Now it's like the easy answer for why they would bring that out in February is because it's probably a slower sales month because it's like post holidays and stuff like that. And they know when they bring it back, it provides a sales boost. So I don't really think.
No, I'm sure it's not, but
they're doing it for any possibly
just coincidence,
nefarious reason. But it's just that hey, this is a slower time of year. We need a sales boost. How do we boost your sales? I'll bring out the McRib. So
yeah. Oh, believe me, it was definitely sometime in the beginning of February because Marlon texted me. Marlon loves the McRib like I do. He's like, bro, the McRib's out. I was like, oh shit. I'm going to McDonald's for lunch today. He's like, so am I.
Yeah, it's like I can definitely see where that'll make a where that can make a funny stand-up routine.
Yeah, it was. It was, yeah, and it was just like, I'm sure it was just pure coincidence, but it was just really fucking funny because the humor in it. But oh my god, just some of the stuff.
Speaking of comedy, it's kind of funny. So on Facebook, it was about a month ago. I don't know why it randomly showed up on my feed, however Facebook works and all that bullshit. But there's a thing called Dry Bar.
Okay, yeah.
I follow that, and for the most part, every comedian I watch on there is fucking hilarious. I find myself watching 1 to 2 or 3 videos a day, to be honestly with you, like during the course of the day, even while I'm at work, because some days are shitty at work and I need to get my mind off the stuff that's going on at work. So I'll just take my break or whatever and be like, all right, let's see what's going on. Any new videos on Dry Bar? I'll go up on Dry Bar and I'll watch some videos. There was actually a guy on there. I always forget names, but he's the comedian used to be, he's paralyzed on he was paralyzed on his left side for the most part. So he spent a lot of time in a wheelchair, and so went through rehabilitation, all that jazz, and took him multiple years to get back up, standing, walking, and stuff like that. He doesn't really have use of his left arm. But it was funny because he was talking about amusement parks and talking about going through the handicap thing, and just jokes about that. And then he goes, so anybody out there, if you want to go on rides and get ahead of everybody, just go on my Facebook page. I charge $247 a day, and I will go with you and your family, and we will get on all the rides ahead of everybody else.
Shit.
I was just like, and the whole place kind of laughed. He goes, I'm serious. You go on my Facebook right there. $247. It was like a weird number, 247, but I charge $247 a day. I will get you on all those rides quicker than everybody else and make all them bastards wait 2 hours while we wait for 2 minutes. And I was like, that's great.
I have been to amusement parks with people in such condition, if you will. One year we went to Disney World. My dad's badly sprained his ankle like a week before we went. So he was on crutches. We were pushing his ass around in a wheelchair.
What time of the year was this at Disney? What time of the year?
It was the summer.
That was some sweaty. That was a sweaty ass day then.
Yeah, that
sucked.
I want to say that was 1997. That sound, yeah, it would have had to have been. So we're pushing him around in a goddamn wheelchair, and we found out right away what the advantages of that were.
Every year we come, you're in a wheelchair. Goddamn it, old man.
it was almost like, just strolling on up to the ride entrance. It's like, oh, right over here.
Here's your special line.
Thank you.
Basically, yeah. I mean,
appreciate it.
Now, I've definitely heard, of course, about people abusing that, which,
well, of course, yeah.
Of course, there are people that do.
Doesn't surprise me at
to
all.
all you people out there that do that, you're fucking horrible people right now. I'm telling you right now, you're fucking horrible people.
When we were there 4 years ago, my dad just, because he has fibromyalgia, he had to use, we rented for the entire week an electric cart. And then my mother quickly decided that after the first day, she wasn't going to last. So she went and rented one at the park, like 3 or 4 of the remaining days. Let me tell you something.
Out of my way, fucker.
let me tell you something. It is not easy, and this is very much white people problem. I just want to point that out. But it is not easy to be the person with the people in those. Now, especially because, like I said, the one that my dad had, we had rented for the whole week, so we rented it from an outside company who delivered it to our hotel and everything. And then we had to just, they came back to pick it up at the end of the week and everything. So they have to load it onto the bus. It holds up like the bus getting loaded. You feel all those other people who just want to get on the bus to get to the park and everything.
God, we got on the wrong bus again today. Damn
it! It's just
these fuckers like, again.
Just like looking at you and everything. And the last day we were in the parks, we were at Epcot. We were going into the Mexico Pavilion, and both of them were on carts that day. And by this point in the week, I could have used the trip in the car.
Push your mom out. I'm taking over. Leave you to the side.
I was just exhausted and everything. But we were going into the Mexico Pavilion, and I was really telling them, I wanted to tell them, it's probably really tight inside that pavilion. Probably better to leave the carts outside and, just bear with walking into and out and inside the pavilion and everything. But it was impossible because there was a sea of strollers everywhere, everywhere outside where you could have conceivably also parked an electric cart. So they had to take them in. So as they're taking them in, and by this point, both of them had gotten pretty good with maneuvering them. Trust me, my mother, the first day that she was on, I did crash into somebody's ankles, and I was about ready to strangle her.
God.
Watch for your... Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Because
dangerous driver.
I thought she was pretty careless when she did it. So anyway, so we're going inside of the pavilion. There's people walking out, and this woman who's walking out, like I was behind my parents, so they were in front of me, so they're already going down. I'm trailing them. There's this woman coming out. She like stops and like turns and says to the person with her that was behind her, I just don't think they should be allowed to bring those things in here. I was this close. This close. To snapping on this woman because I was sick of having to deal with the things all week. I was exhausted. I was just at that point saying I want to go on the last few things that we're going to do and then get ready to go to my aunt's house the next day and then get home. And it was the first time I can ever remember in all the times I've been at Disney World where I was like, all right, I've had enough of Disney World, please get me the hell out of here.
That's not a good feeling.
I was that close to just turning around and saying to her, why don't you mind your own fucking business? It was just,
yeah.
I said, he's got fibromyalgia. She's recovering from hip surgery. So what you're telling me is that if somebody has an affliction, you don't think they should be allowed to make things easier on them.
But
you just think that they should have left the carts outside? I agree with you, and we were going to. But since you're walking outside, go take a quick gander and tell me where you would have put it. You do not see the thousands of strollers.
And they're the one
would be Grenada right now.
And that person's the person that would say that, but then if they needed it, it'd be okay for them to drive that cart up into that motherfucker.
Right, and not only that, but if
and probably be rude about it too.
And they were riding on it.
Please move.
Yeah, they would expect you to get out of their way. Exactly.
Excuse me. They pulled a Vicky Guerrero. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I've only had my only encounter, most of my encounters with the stroller. I hate to call them strollers because it's not like you're pushing a little kid around, like getting your strollers through.
Electric carts.
Yeah, the electric carts. But the only time I've ever had really any kind of experience with those is usually at the grocery store. And when you're pushing your cart and somebody comes along with one of the electric carts there, and it gets a little tight in the aisle. I'm like, okay, somebody's coming down. I'm gonna turn around and run.
No.
I have to be
Key
honest.
Turn it.
I have to be honest. When I see people using those in the grocery store, my first thought is, oh my God. I just think it's you better really have something wrong with you if you can't even manage to walk around the grocery store for half an hour, 45 minutes. I really honestly do feel that way. And it's for
and I'll keep my thoughts to myself because I don't want to offend anybody with my personal thoughts on some of the people I've seen in them.
It's because it's because the grocery store, like you said, it can be tough to navigate. I mean, it can be tough to navigate when you're just pushing your cart, and then there's like suddenly 3 other people are in the same aisle pushing your cart.
So my thought is this: if you do have an affliction that bad, that you cannot walk around the grocery store, and there are people like that. There's definitely people that have that kind of affliction.
Yes.
Is there somebody that can help you, like somebody that can go grocery shopping for you?
Or
not because we don't want you not to be able to take care of yourself, but because you shouldn't have to go through that. Like if it's that bad, can somebody help you?
Or start using the
pickup service where you can just pick it up at the drive up and they'll load it right in your car for you. Like there's so many options now that you don't have to go through that struggle if you're in that bad a shape. So
it's like, okay, you have to pay a couple bucks for like the convenience of that. But again, that's just what it is. You're literally paying somebody else to do your shopping for you. So is that couple of dollars worth it? The times where I've decided I want to use it, it's because I just don't feel like walking around the store. It's like I don't have enough time, or I just want to be able to just like, okay, I know what I need. I would just place this order real quick, boom, 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 like pick it up. It takes me, it's just a time saver.
I did have to like chuckle to myself though one time, and this might sound really terrible, but I'm going to say it anyways. I saw there was a person in one of those and they had shorter arms. Like they didn't have like very long arms, and they were trying to reach up for something that was high. And I was like, kind of sucks to be you right now, doesn't it?
Oh God.
But being the human being that I was about to walk up to him and say, do you need help with something? But somebody had already got to it. But I was kind of thinking in my head, it kind of sucks to be you right now, doesn't it?
I have to admit, if I saw that, my first reaction, like as a reflex, would probably be something along the lines of
it's so bad.
I accept that I'm a terrible person for thinking. It's one of those things. Like I said, it's a reflex, like I couldn't stifle it if I'd wanted to. It just like, like I'm turning the corner. That's what you say. Let's say I'm coming from the previous aisle and I turn down this aisle and I see that, and my first thing is going to be like, oh shit, that's terrible.
After the fact, oh damn, why did I do that? I think the funniest things I ever saw with people in the cart is me and a bunch of my friends went down to Ocean City, Maryland for like 4 or 5 days, and there was a guy on the boardwalk in one of those electric carts, and he had the horns that you had on bikes.
Oh no.
Honk honk. Those type of horns. And he had it on the electric cart, and he was just chilling. Anytime he come up to some people that are like in a group or walking, so he would start honking the shot out. He'd be like, beep beep, coming through. I'm coming through. And I'm just like, wow. And me and my friends were dying. It was actually comedy. It was funny. And they were like, people are like, he's like scaring the shit out of people. Were like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like all spreading. And he's like, thank you. He's like getting out about it, but it was hilarious. And, we're sitting there, we're eating all you can hear in the distance. Hong Kong, Hong Kong. It's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh man, that's funny.
This is crazy.
I mean there were some when at Disney World last time they were there were some other things that happened that were cart related, which which were adding to my general fatigue of dealing with them.
So we're all on a big cart rant right now.
The day we were at the Hollywood Studios, the day was paced weird because of when we had our fast passes set for. And my parents didn't want to go on a couple of the rides. So like I went to the park before they did so I could go on those rides. And we kind of like planned out our fast pass time so that they'd be after I'd have time to do it, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to like the Toy Story ride. And at the time, the full Toy Story land that's there now wasn't open. So the areas around where the entrance to the Toy Story ride were very kind of narrow and confined. You know, there was like walls up and everything. So there was not a lot of room to maneuver. And there was unfortunately a lot of people there because it's a pretty popular ride. So it's getting like our time for our fast pass is now available. So we're trying to make our way over to it through these throngs of people. I don't remember if my mother was on a cart that day, but my dad definitely was. We're in such a position though that we have to make basically a left turn to cross over to where the entrance is. And of course there's just a sea of people coming this way. So my dad literally can't turn because it's just nonstop people. It's like there's no space for him to go, for him to just go like beep beep,
Yeah.
There's a guy on another cart behind him who's also got like his 7-year-old granddaughter sitting on his lap, and I'm like, that's not real safe. But he starts like yelling at my dad to move. Because it was like being in like a traffic jam all of a sudden.
Where the fuck do you want me to go?
Shut up back
cart
there.
Rage. We got cart rage, motherfuckers.
I'm standing behind. I'm standing behind this.
It's out his cane and starts whacking him with it. Oh my God.
I'm standing behind this second guy, and I'm trying to be polite. I just kind of try to shout up to him. I'm like, he's trying to turn to the left, sir. He obviously can't. Oh, so man. After another few uncomfortable seconds, my dad is finally able to maneuver the car and turn it over and everything. And the guy behind him, starts going forward and everything. I wasn't sure if my dad had heard this guy. I quickly found out he did. Because my dad, as he's starting to immediately after he's turned, then he turns over his shoulder, blow it out your ass.
Heart rage, beautiful. It's a lovely thing. Just another good day at Disney World.
The other guy on the cart, he turns around. I see him like jerk his head to to the left, and he's like, I was like, looking all shocked and shit. And I honestly at that point felt like shouting after the guy, "You started it, bitch." But I wasn't going to say anything because again, he had his granddaughter on his lap and everything, and it's like I said, I was still a little shocked that my dad said anything to him. Only because I hadn't been sure that my dad had heard him. It's like I'm not totally surprised that my dad tried to start a fight with somebody
that's fucking funny. I would have loved to been that. I'd love to seen that.
Again, it was just one more thing in this what seemed to be like this never-ending cart adventure,
So I do have to say one thing about Disney. Like I've been to Disney a couple times now. Probably maybe not as many as you there, Pat, but I've been to Disney a couple times. And the one thing that I always notice that kind of drives me nuts, because I try to be very courteous. Like I try to be a decent person, is when you're trying to go somewhere and like there's that sea of people that like never ends. I never see anybody be like, oh, these people are trying to go the opposite direction. Let me stop for a second and let them through.
Oh, no.
Like everybody's just like, fuck it, man. Run. Next try. Go. Everybody go. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, and because
everyone for themselves. If you got to run them over, run them over.
And because it's such an international place, like you get assholes of all kinds there. Like I've run into some really nice people from other countries, but then I've run into some really fucking jerks. I'm like, you're an asshole. Assholes come from everywhere. It's great.
Yes.
So fantastic.
They do.
There is a kind of long-standing, I don't want to say bias, because bias isn't really the right word, but I guess like complaint about groups of Brazilian tourists, I think is what they always say, because it's like there's always like these like apparently like very well organized like tour groups that come from like Brazil, I guess, and they're always wearing, and the way you can tell them is because they're wearing shirts, which I guess
the matching shirt people. I always love those groups. Like there's 30 of them and they all got blue shirts on.
Yeah, which I'm assuming they do that. Which I'm
saw a lot of that at Kings of Meeting the other day.
Yeah, I'm assuming they do that in case like they get lost or separated or anything like that. Which, you know, when you come right down to it, is kind of a smart thing to do. But like the unofficial guide to Disney World book, which I like, you know, get on the years where we go to Disney World, and I usually page through on the years we don't, just to see like what's changing and everything. There's always been like letters written to that guidebook from like other people who were like, you know, oh my god, they were so rude, or they were this, or they were that, and you know, it's like at one point, it's like, yeah, you can't tell me those are the only people you encountered who were like that.
I know.
Just that group of 30 people over there. They were the only assholes the whole time.
Yeah, it was like one person actually wrote into the guidebook to say they were all holding your guidebook, and it was like, okay, step 5, run, you know, proceed to Haunted Mansion, and all of a sudden they said like they all like in like unison, they all like turned and like ran towards the Haunted Mansion, and it was like, man, I'm gonna call shenanigans and say that there is no chance that they ran.
If that did happen, I'd be laughing my ass
off.
The
Mickey Mouse police would come and say, "Stop running into park. No running into park." I actually have never encountered like people actually running from a ride to a ride. Like I've never seen it. I've seen speed walking because I've done the speed walk, but I've never run to the next ride.
Especially if you're there at like what they call rope drop, you know, when the park opens.
Oh yeah.
You know, there are sometimes where you could, you know, kind of generously call like mini stampedes towards certain rides. Like there's always the ones to Spacebound or to Splashbound or at the studios to like the Tower of Terror. I'm sure it's just, well, the Star Wars thing is a little different now because of the way they do the one ride. But yeah, you know, those things do exist, but they also do their best to just basically go like, slow down.
You know what ride always surprises me? That there's always a line for it. It's a Small World. Like that ride sucks. It's terrible.
There's 2 reasons for that.
It's nostalgia.
One is because it can depend upon like the time of day, and like what the conditions are. Like if it starts raining, people are going to go to that ride. If it's just like beastly hot, people are going to go to that ride. But the main reason is that it's a slow loading and unloading ride. Like it takes a while for everybody to be able to get into it because it's in a boat and everything. But it's just as much of a pain in the neck to unload from that ride.
Yes, it is.
Because trust me, you stand up in that boat then to get off of it. There's that little bit of, even though the boats are pretty good in those tracks on that ride, there is that little bit of
wiggles
where, you know, you're kind of going like,
the ship's going down.
Before you're actually able to start taking the steps to get, you know, back onto the platform and everything.
I must say that
that's a slow loading ride. That's why
we lucked out the last time we went there. And this is once again when my youngest daughter was 5. We went to that ride and I'm like, we got to go on the ride. It's nice. It's cute. She'll enjoy it. She's 5. And we're sitting in the line. Oh man, this fucking line is so fucking long right now. And the lady comes up to us. She's like, would you guys like to go in the fast pass line? I was like, yeah, sure. Sweet.
Of course we would.
Our hour and a half line turned into a 15-minute line. I was like, sweet.
I've never even, I don't even remember that they had a fast pass line for that.
They have a fast pass line for everything now. We fast passed the shit out of the park that day. We did fast passes for all the Disney character signings. Like we must have got like 10 or between 6 and 10, somewhere in that range of Disney signings, all using fast pass. Like her book was pretty full. It was pretty freaking awesome. But yeah, they have fast pass for every line. The one that you couldn't get fast pass, Space Mountain sold out like freaking for the day, like super quick. Like it was done. Like fuck it.
Yeah, fast pass goes. Like they only have like an allotment of so many for each ride. Yeah, and the way especially the way they do it now is like it's really all done through the app. And you can, if you're like staying on property, you can start booking them like I think it's like 60 days in advance and shit like that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean that can be one of the frustrating parts is that you have to do it. If once your window opens, you have to do it, and because we wanted to fast pass the Avatar ride. Unfortunately, it's like when it gets to be 60 days out from like when you're there, if you're staying like in a Disney hotel, you can, book for your entire trip. So like, it's not like, okay, day one is when it's 60 days away, we're booking these fast passes. Then you got to repeat it for the next however many days you're going to be there and everything like that. You can do it for your whole trip. So we made a mistake, I guess, of the first day we went there, we were going to the Animal Kingdom where the Avatar ride is. So there were no fast passes for that ride on the day when it was 60 days out for. Like they were already long gone.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So that's like, so we did a fast pass for the other Avatar ride. That's there, like this little boat ride, which was all right. There was this pretty cool looking animatronic, which I think is finally broken down now because they were joking about they were expecting that it was going to break down pretty quickly because of the way the Yeti at Expedition Everest broke down pretty soon after that ride opened. Yeah, supposedly it finally broke down, but you have to do all that pre-planning ahead of time, otherwise you really do risk not being able to get onto the rides you want to go on. So
yeah. Now when we went, because we just bought a basic ticket, 1-day ticket, we could only do ours like the week before. And then once we used the last one, then we could go on and book more. I think we did, like, for us, it worked out because we did a lot of the characters. Like we did Fast Pass for character signings, not for the actual rides. Because as much as she wanted to do rides, it wasn't a big deal to her. She wanted to see the characters. Like that was her big thing. So we did rides in between, like character signings. Like we went on some of the smaller, like the Dumbo ride. We got on the Dumbo ride pretty quick. Yeah. We did Space Mountain because Space Mountain didn't have a super long line, or it was just moving really freaking quick. I don't know what happened that day. Like it was really odd that Space Mountain did not have like a 3-hour line. But it just it worked out, like everything that she was interested in getting on and getting to, characters that she wanted to see. We didn't have any problems. But we also did hear one of the workers say it's a really slow day. And if one of the workers is saying it's a slow day, it must be slow.
That's true.
I'd say so, yeah.
So
yeah, I'm planning on, I would like to go back to Florida in a couple years. But I only want to go to Disney World just for Galaxy's Edge. I'm not really interested in going to Epcot or any other places. I just want to go to Galaxy Edge for Star Wars and then head my way over to Universal Studios because I've been wanting to go to Universal Studios for the past couple of years.
And that's at what used to be MGM, right? The Star Wars land.
Well, no, it still is. It's they haven't. It hasn't been called the Disney MGM Studios for quite some time because
right. That's why I say it used to be called MGM.
Now it's Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, the Hollywood Studios area.
And there's been rumors for a while now that name's going to get changed because while it used to make sense because it was an actual working television studio, film and television studio, like they did actually film things there once upon a time. That hasn't been like that. It hasn't been like that for a very long time. So there's been rumors about them changing the name, but they haven't done it yet. And at this point, it's like I don't know when they're going to, because that's not one of the parks now that the Star Wars part is open and the Toy Story part is open, where there's like really a lot of big changes coming. Like they're making changes to the Magic Kingdom, like the Tron rides being built. And they're making they were supposed to be making a bunch of changes to Epcot. Like they're building the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And there were some other things that they were supposed to do, which some of what they put on hold. Like they were going to build a Mary Poppins attraction of some kind, but that's been put on hold. There's a Ratatouille one, which is going to be opening there. But so studios aren't getting any major changes that I'm aware of in the near future. So it's like, if you haven't changed that name yet, I don't know when they're going to.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I'm excited to go back when my son is 5. Between 5 and 6 is when we're going to probably go back. So we got about a year or so before we plan another Disney vacation, because that's just good. It's a good age for them. Like it just works out. Like they remember everything and they enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, my sister said she was able to survive back in April, even with they were still distancing and mask wearing at the time. And unfortunately, that Wesley wasn't tall enough yet to really go on much of anything. Like when I saw him a few weeks ago, they're talking about when they're going next year because they're in the vacation club. So they they actually usually go once a year.
Oh, okay.
Wesley was all like, "Next year I'm gonna go on the Millennium Falcon ride." Yeah,
Did he say Millennium fucking or not?
No,
That's what it sounded like you just said. Because that would be awesome, the Millennium fucking ride.
No, he said Millennium Falcon. But yeah, so like, because he just wasn't tall enough this year to really be able to go on anything, so they had to keep doing like the switching and everything, which can be trying.
In the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been like, I'm excited because my son likes the Star Wars stuff. Like he likes like some of the animated cartoons that we watch. So I think he'd be excited to be able to go to Hollywood Studios and do some of the Star Wars stuff over there. Yeah. I know I would. I would prefer to go over to Hollywood Studios because there's more of the stuff that I would enjoy there. But you gotta, with kids, you almost have to do Magic Kingdom. Like it's like
all the other shit.
Yeah, it's like all the shit that they actually care about. But it's funny because my son has not been a big Disney fan. Like he likes certain things, like that movie Luca that just came out. He likes that. Like he likes all the newer stuff. Like all the newer stuff is what he likes. Okay. And that's like, I don't know, like Magic Kingdom does have some of that stuff, but they randomly throw it in like with all the old stuff that they kind of keep there, like as I don't know. It's just it's interesting. Like Dumbo, like the Dumbo ride's still there. Like, really, we still have the Dumbo ride? Like, and they have two of them. It's not just one; they have two Dumbo rides.
Yeah, that's they changed that when they did like the big update to Fantasyland a few years ago. It was like they moved where the Dumbo ride was and they put like two of them. So, and that's because it's like, yeah, Dumbo has always been like that one ride where it's like all the little kids just have to go on it. And again, that's another slow moving, slow loading ride. So that's why when they did the big changes to it, they're like, all right, we're going to move where the location is. We're going to build like two of them and blah, blah, blah. So that it's hopefully not quite as bad. And I think it's worked out okay.
Yeah. Well, and they still have the Goofy's Crazy Barnyard ride or something like that. Where he's like, I remember from the cartoon, but we went on that too. I'm like,
the Barnstormer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like really, like some of these rides are so like so outdated. Like, come on, like kids don't even know what the hell this cartoon is anymore. Like these kids don't know.
A lot of them don't.
You're supposed to show your kids those cartoons, especially now that Disney Plus is out there.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. Most of my kids
will be like, I watched another shit on that.
One of the people that I've been training over the last 3 weeks, they're like, yeah, I try to get my kid to watch the old Disney movies, but they're like, why would I want to watch that when I can watch this movie Inside Out or this movie that's all new animation? Like, why would I want to watch some old shit animation?
Gonna sit here and you were going to watch Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and if you were scared by the Headless Horseman, I don't care. I got scared by the Headless
Horseman. I must say
so you're going to get scared too.
Though I must say, I have got my son finally to watch. He's watched The Lion King. He's watched Aladdin. And what other movie did he watch that's older? I can't remember right now, but there was another one that we got him to watch, and he liked both of those. So, it's working. We're getting him there. We're only in the 90s. I haven't gotten him any further than the 90s cartoon. The Disney cartoons.
I was gonna say you're talking about older stuff and citing stuff that came out in the 90s, and it's like when I think older Disney stuff, I'm thinking Snow White, Cinderella, Peter Pan, Sleeping Beauty, all the stuff from before I was born.
Yeah, right. Yeah, indeed.
Well, it relative to the age of the child we're talking about, that 90s is old.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's more of a funny. That's more of a problem with my own personal perspective. It's like when I occasionally have conversations with a couple of my female coworkers who are still in their mid and late 20s and everything, and I'll start referencing something from like the 90s, and they'll be like, when was that? And I was like, 1994. She's like, oh, yeah, I was 2.
Oh, I hate that shit. I fucking hate that with a passion.
Well, thank you. I'm fucking old.
I've got to the point where I'm just like, yes, I turned 40 this year. Thank you for reminding me.
That happened in 93. Oh, I wasn't born till 96. Oh, go fuck yourself now. Thanks for telling me when you were born.
And it's
jackass.
funny it's so funny because, like, I don't know about you guys, but I have my 23-year-old daughter, And she was born in 98. So, she's, one of those kids, but I can fucking tell you right now that she has watched and listened to the shit that I've watched and listened to when I was a kid. Like, I purposely put that shit on so she would get educated on this stuff. Now, yeah, it's still old, but she's seen it. Like, she's seen the older Disney movies, like 80s Disney movies, like she's seen those. She's listened to all the old music from the 80s and 90s and the 50s and 60s, like all the stuff that I used to listen to my parents and I enjoyed listening to, even though I didn't enjoy listening to it then, I enjoy it now. I made her fucking listen to it. Like, here's your musical education, here's your film education, here's this, here's that. Like, I think all kids should have to go through that, fucking suffer through that shit. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, we're watching this movie, like, no phone, no nothing. You don't like it, then go to your freaking room with nothing. Like, too bad, so sad.
Oh, that's great.
Damn, son, you're rude.
We're fucking watching Pinocchio and you're fucking dealing with it, all right?
You're gonna get freaked out when he turns into a donkey, and you're just gonna deal with it.
Like, that freaking movie's from what, the 1940s or something like that? I think it was the 1940s or 50s, one of the two.
Pinocchio?
Yeah.
1940.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got Abby watched, my middle child, Abby, she watched that, and she enjoyed it, but it wasn't like her favorite. She's like, it was okay, it was good. But yeah, all that stuff.
Pinocchio's never really been one of my favorites either.
It's tough. It's a tough one. It's very, I don't want to say, it's more, I don't know how to put it. It's just a different kind of story. Like, it's a slow moving story, and it's got some shady characters that are, it's just a different kind of story. That's all I can say. It's a different kind of story.
It is. It very much is.
Well, I went to go see the remake of Cruella, or the prequel Cruella, however you want to put it.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure how you did. I don't know. Really know exactly how you call that.
Yeah,
how Cruella came to be.
Well,
I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty cool.
I almost think that, like, spin-off is the best word.
I guess so. Per se.
I mean, I think in some respects it was going for the same thing that, like, the Maleficent movies did. But I don't know. I just the trailers didn't catch me, so I didn't.
It's a good movie.
Maybe I'll watch it when it's on Disney Plus for free again. But I was just kind of like, yeah.
And
I guess
it was cool.
It's like, well, I could, with the way that they did it, I was able to accept the way that they made Maleficent not the villain, even though Maleficent is really one of the best all-time Disney villains. I can't think of how they could make Cruella redeemable in any way. So
I don't think they try to, though.
No, they really don't.
The description that I read made me think that they were. So the reasons I got was just a little like, I don't know.
Well, it pretty much sets it up. You see her kind of growing up, and then she meets her two friends, the two guys that are in there.
Yeah,
sidekicks.
Yeah, she like meets Jasper and Horace.
Yep, and they go through. You see her evolve into the evil, per se, Cruella, and how it kind of comes about and things of that nature. But at the end of the movie, I guess there's a little twist to it, per se, and who her real mother is in the movie, and some other things. But at the end of the day, it's a good movie. So they don't do anything to try to make her like the good guy in the beginning. She's growing up and she's going through things and whatnot. But other than that, she at the end of the movie, she's her evil self. And there's a little cut scene, a mid-credit scene where she's sends, sorry if it's spoiler for anybody, she sends Dalmatians to a couple people, somebody in regards to, like, I don't want to say gifts or whatever. I don't know really how to take it, but it's kind of like a possible setup for a second one, per se. But no, she's full-fledged, evil Cruella at the end of the movie, which is cool, and it's in a cool way that they do it. I enjoyed it overall. It was good.
So since we've been talking so much Disney, I gotta ask. I haven't watched the third episode yet, But did you enjoy the second episode of Loki?
I have watched all three.
So have I.
The third one is interesting per se. I'm cool with the variant being a female.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a big deal for me in regards to it
cool.
because I mean there's various DC and Marvel always do like their multiverses in different fashions, and we know there's different Earths per se and multiverses that each superhero and villain is different in a certain way. So it was cool that it was a female. I kind of had a feeling that it was going to be. But you watch episode 3. Episode 3's there's times where I felt it was slow paced. I think it was on purpose because of what they were trying to do per se. But yeah, I'm 3 is kind of my episode where I'm just kind of like, okay.
There was a little bit of a bottle episode feel to episode 3. But at the same time, without trying to get into heavy duty spoilers here for you, Jeremy.
There was one thing that was significant though.
But it was definitely much more of a character building type episode. Especially with the female Loki, if you will. So that was the main thing with that. We'll see how once again though, it's like, especially since it's such a serialized plot.
Yes.
It's just really a matter of, well, okay, see where it goes.
I'm kind of interested to see where they tie in. Like, we know where he comes from as far as like coming out of, disturbing the timeline. So I'm interested to see how they put him back into the correct timeline, because there's so much stuff that has not happened that he sees when he watches those videos that are to come. And we know he eventually gets back put into the timeline correctly. So I'm interested to see how that happens, how that unfolds. It'll be really interesting.
I'm kind of curious if he even does go back into the timeline per se.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we know that for sure, because this Loki,
they put that reset thing down.
And
reset his disturbance. So I'm kind of wondering if he's. So real quick, there's another part of that episode 3 that's significant, because you find out some more information about the TVA members, or the members of the TVA. So there's a part about that that's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. So that kind of makes you think about other possibilities as well.
Well, what I thought was interesting with episode 2 is it sounds like that's not the first time they've had to catch a Loki as a time variant.
No.
So evidently it happens quite often with Loki. Like, that guy's the mischievous god,
Hey, it is Loki. He likes to fuck around.
So now,
it's going to be interesting to see where it builds from here. How many episodes are supposed to be for this series?
That I don't know.
Good question. Let me look.
I've not looked. I think I remember reading about it when like a month or so before it came out. So only 6 episodes.
Yeah, so that's less than both WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
So they have 3 more episodes to kind of
tie everything in.
Yeah. It's kind of like, we're kind of like now we're halfway through. So
and as far as I've read, this does not tie into any future movie. It's just its own thing.
I mean on Wikipedia,
but they may put a twist on us, and it might end up being go into a future movie. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, according to Wikipedia, it is officially part of Phase 4.
Yeah.
And it does mention that a second season is in development. So,
interesting.
It'll be a season 2.
Phase 4 though is yeah. It's a little hard to describe Phase 4, because this is the way, again, that Wikipedia breaks down the MCU. We had the Infinity Saga, which was phases 1, 2, and 3. You know, phase 1 was Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America 1, and the Avengers. Phase 2 was from 2013 to 2015 and was Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers 2, and Ant-Man. And then phase 3 was 2016 to 2019. So it was Captain America 3, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor 3, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Okay. Phase 4, which they officially call now 2021 to 2023. Gee, what happened in 2020? Do you guys remember something?
Nah, it's a flash in the pan. I don't one hit wonder. I think I can't remember all of it.
According to them, phase 4 is, well, there's 2 sections. There's the films: Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home. Those are all this year. Next year, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and the Marvels. In 2023, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And then it's listed without a release date, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever really going to get a Fantastic Four movie. I hope it happens. I'd like to see a good version of Fantastic Four, but I don't know.
I think we will.
Yeah, they announced the director.
I'm pretty confident.
They announced the director last December, it says, but beyond that, I don't know of anything that's been going on. And it's like, if they wanted to get that in theaters in 2023, time's a wasting. So those are the films for Phase 4. Now we have all these TV series. We have WandaVision, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, that was only 6 episodes? Why did I think it was 7? I don't know. Anyway, Loki. Then we have this What If series, which I believe is animated. Yes,
I don't even know why they even put that in phase 4, because that's just what if they're just doing what if based off like the what if comics they used to have.
Yeah, so but that's going to be 10 episodes, and that says is debuting in August. Yeah. Then we're getting Ms. Marvel, which is going to be 6 episodes, debuting in late 2021.
Is that the Ms. Marvel? Is that the one that's stretchy, the comic, the fangirl like comic? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the Hawkeye series, which it says TBA in terms of number of episodes, and that'll be in late 2021. Then next year, we're going to get 6 episodes of Moon Knight, 10 episodes of She-Hulk, 6 episodes of Secret Invasion, and a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Why?
And then also listed for TBA in terms of when they're come out, because these are all still listed as being either in pre-production or in development: Ironheart, Armor Wars, and an Untitled Wakanda series. Methinks a little too much in a short period of time here, and it's like,
I think so.
WandaVision runs for 9 episodes. 2 weeks after it ends, Falcon and the Winter Soldier premieres, runs for 6 episodes. Now they did wait about 6 weeks before Loki debuted. But you're only going to have about 4 weeks between Loki and What If. It's like, I'm just afraid that between films and TV, you're just cramming too much into maybe a little bit more breathing is what I'm I guess what I'm getting, because Star Wars, they kind of learned that lesson. I mean, Force Awakens, fine. Rogue One, fine. Last Jedi, some warning signs. Solo, kind of bombed. Rise of Skywalker, lots of issues there. Oh boy, we're not doing any more films until Rogue Squadron, but that's still 2 years away from now. So they're giving films some time to breathe while they're kind of like, mining the
TV show section
right now. And obviously the Mandalorian's been a runaway hit, and even though I haven't started watching the Bad Batch yet,
Bad Batch is good.
It sounds like it's been good, so I gotta get on that.
It's definitely worth a watch.
I didn't watch yesterday's episode, but I heard they got to break down the origin of where Omega comes from, or
Well,
what her
I also heard
backstory
about
is.
I also heard about a certain character coming back, which I guess should not have surprised me. But it did kind of, because even though I knew that he in canon was still alive even during the events of the original trilogy, I guess I just didn't really expect to see Cad Bane come back.
Yes, he came back last episode.
Yeah, I heard that. So surprised me.
He's become a big fan favorite of the
yeah,
other animated shows.
He's a great villain. So
yeah, I'm kind of not surprised they did that. I was kind of wondering if they were going to. I think it's cool that they did. Actually.
Yeah, so
he's very cocky too.
Yeah,
as a bounty hunter, he's I love.
Yeah, he pretty much
clothes.
He pretty much always has been. So I mean, but I mean, we'll see what happens and with the rest of the Star Wars series, because they said that Book of Boba Fett will be out, and then not really sure where we're going to see season 3 of Mandalorian. It doesn't sound like we're seeing it this calendar year.
I mean, it was supposed to be, but who knows?
Last I heard, I think, was that they haven't even actually started filming it yet. So if they haven't started filming it yet, I don't see.
I'm still a little pissed at Disney for fucking getting rid of
Gina Carano.
Yeah, Gina Carano.
So,
I mean,
it is what it is at this point.
I agree. It is what it is, but it's like whatever. Like, you get people can't. It's like you're not allowed to speak your mind regardless of what she said. And I don't particularly know what she said or care what she said, but people say shit all the time, and for you to lose your job over something you said on social media that, like, from what I understand, it wasn't like racially or it wasn't any kind of bigotry or anything like that. It was just something political, and it's like, that's just freaking ridiculous in my personal opinion.
It was really for two reasons. It was, one, what she said was stupid, because it was. Two, she had supposedly been told stop, and she didn't.
Yeah, it was bad. It's no bad different. Choice and bad taste of what she used to make a point.
It's really no different if you're doing something at your work that your employer, and again, you can differ on this interpretation, but if you're doing something at your job that your employer thinks could be detrimental to their business in some way, shape, or form, and they tell you, please stop doing this, and your response is to ignore them, I think, they can be expected to say, all right, you're not going to do what we've told you to do. You're not going to listen to us and what we're telling you what to do. We think it's going to potentially hurt our bottom line. You're not worth it. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's really what they did. Now, would it have affected their bottom line? Who knows? That's really hard to say. I mean,
it most likely no. It would have taken some kind of hit, but nothing that substantial.
My whole thing is that she's not that great of an actress. She's very, very stiff. She obviously has the physicality for the role, and she does have a certain presence about her. Will I miss the character? We'll have to see where they go. That's the whole thing. It's like, I'm not shedding tears over her getting fired again because the reasons I just said, and I personally don't agree with what she said. Like I said, I found what she said to be very stupid. But it's that's the only problem, is that we don't really know what the full effect of it's going to be until we see new episodes. And
right.
There's also, of course, we don't even really know how much she was going to be in The Mandalorian going forward, because they were supposedly giving her own series, and maybe they'll decide to recast the role. Who knows? It's just a little bit of a wait and see on that one. But
yeah,
when is
it'll be?
If your employers, again, this goes for any walk of life. Your employer says, "Don't do this," and you continue to do this.
Yeah, there's big consequences. When does Obi-Wan come out? I don't remember.
I don't know when they've got that.
Is there? So I think that's done filming. I think they've wrapped production. I think that's completely done.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is scheduled to be released in 2022 and will consist of 6
God.
episodes.
6 episodes, and it pushed it back that long. Damn.
Well,
I think it's early 2022 though.
We'll put it this way: they only started filming it back in April. So, and this is Star Wars, where there's extensive post-production. So, you know,
craziness.
So on a flip side here, we have 4 minutes left in the game for the Suns and the Clippers, and the Suns are up by 1.
Ooh.
They were up by 14, and now they let the Clippers come back. And I do not want the Clippers to win. I actually want Phoenix to win.
Yeah, I'd like to see Phoenix win. Speaking of basketball, I'm gonna make this short and sweet and kind of ranty at the same time. So, being a Sixers fan, and now I didn't watch the whole entire series, but I did follow the series, so I knew how the scores were going, and I knew who was playing and doing what within the series. I just didn't watch every game. The Sixers, blew game 1 because they decided defense was not important and they got outshot. Game 2, they came back and they played defense and beat the Hawks and tied it 1-1. And then game 3, they won again, and then they lost game 4, so it was tied 2-2. And then they lost game 5. Now it's 3-2. And they came back in game 6. They won game 6 to push it to a game 7, but they could have won game 5, and that series would have been over because they blew like a 20-point lead.
Like 2 games in a row, they blew huge leads.
Yeah, so it could have been over in a whole game or 2 games earlier. Like they screwed themselves, and then they go to game 7, and I'm watching game 7. And I'm watching the second half of the game, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? And then it gets down to like the last 3 minutes, and who the hell is not on the court? Ben fucking Simmons. And I'm like, even the announcers, the guys calling the game, they're like, you cannot have your best player, one of your best players, sitting on the bench in the last couple minutes of game 7. Like, that should not happen. Like, could you imagine the Sixers sitting Charles Barkley in a series, or sitting Allen Iverson, or the Lakers sitting Kobe Bryant, or Shaq at that time, or
Shaq, yes, because it's horrible at free throws.
Well,
so. Shaq attack was taking care of that one.
All right. Well, maybe okay. So Shaq maybe was a bad example, but okay, Jordan or Pippen. Any of those guys that Stockton and Malone. Could you imagine them teams sitting or LeBron sitting in a game 7 of a series with 2 minutes to go or 3 minutes to go? That doesn't fucking happen. Like, your superstars are supposed to be on the court. And what really made it tough is not only is he not on the court, but before he went out, he did one of the weirdest things I've ever seen a person do that's 6'11" and drives to the hole. He drove to the hole and fucking passed the ball like he had a clear dunk with a foul coming, and he
layup,
passed
and
the fucking ball. Like,
passes the ball to the guy, and then he gets double teamed. Does that make sense?
I was like, what the fuck? Like this, and this has been my problem with Ben Simmons. Okay. He is by far a hugely talented athlete and definitely is an NBA player. I'll never say that he's not. But my problem with him is he doesn't care, or doesn't perceive to care, to fucking want to get better with free throws, with fucking jump shots. He doesn't seem to fucking care about getting better. Like, hey, I'm fucking good enough to be able to drive the ball and kick the ball out, or dunk if I got a clear shot. And like, he's content. It seems this way. I'm not saying that's really what it is, but when you look at the way he plays in his progression as an athlete and an NBA superstar, he hasn't fucking progressed. He's still the same player. And it's like, how can you be the same player? Like, the greats progress. They get better at their craft. They continue to hone their skills. And that's not what he's doing. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't really want to be in Philly, but he says he wants to be there. Maybe he doesn't like playing second fiddle to Joel Embiid. Like, I don't know what it is, but something's not right. And I would hate to see him go to another team because he is a freaking very talented player. He's got to be. He's in the NBA. You got to be a talented player. You can't just be in the NBA and be some schlup. So I would hate to see him go to another team, and then all of a sudden you discover, oh, I can shoot. I just chose not to fucking do it because it was Philly. And I can't say that, I can't think that that's true, but I'd hate to fucking see it. Like, it would be terrible.
I think it might be, from what I've been reading and kind of trying to grasp and see what insiders are talking about. Some of it seems like it's like a mental thing with this kid, that he has a mental hurdle that he's not able to get over. It's just very. So some of the things you talk about, it's very interesting for a talented player like him to not work on his shooting range of beyond 10, 15 feet. Try to at least get something where you're shooting at least 30 to 35% from three, or start getting a decent mid-range jumper for his height and his ability. When you've shot the worst free throw percentage, like 30-some% in NBA history, worse than Shaq, that's just that just blows my mind. Someone, I don't remember if I saved this, one of the sports websites I follow posted something that he's played in the 36 playoff games. He's only shot the ball beyond, it was like 10 or 15 feet 5 times. Like,
that's
shot in the
ridiculous.
ball past 10 feet. I think it was 10 feet, like 5 times, or 15 feet. I could be out to look. But nonetheless, no matter if it's 10 feet or 15 feet, that's not really good for an NBA player to not progress his mid-range game. And he's been in the league for how many years now? 4 or 5? Yeah. I don't remember.
Not only that, you're talking about a point guard. It's not like he's a freaking power forward doing that. He's at the fucking point guard of your team. He's a 6'10" point guard, and that is either scared to shoot, can't shoot, whatever the fuck it is. He's your point guard. Point guards can shoot and are supposed to be able to shoot because they're supposed to be essentially a double threat. You don't know if they're going to dish the ball or if they're going to shoot the ball. That's the whole point of the whole purpose of the position of point guard, is to be able to be that deceiving person that, hey, I can shoot if I want to, but hey, you don't know if I'm going to dish the ball on a drive. Like, I might try and drive and I'll dish the ball, or maybe I'll be at the 3-point line and get kicked out to me. It just boggles my mind. Like, I don't understand how the Sixers, I guess I can understand how the Sixers would draft somebody like that with knowing the upside potential of the ability of somebody to be able to continue to hone their craft and get better. But he has not done that, which is just aggravating as a basketball fan.
In watching that game too, what kind of baffled me is, like, you have your guard playing a position where it's like they were doing, it's like him and Embiid were in a role reversal. Why wasn't Embiid taking so many 3-pointers?
Yeah, at the end of the game, he took 2 3-pointers. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
Like
he's terrible at threes.
Is it like he can't make them? He can make them, but it's not something where he's hitting on a regular basis. Like, you shouldn't be relying on your power forward, your power forward. Pretty much, you could play both. All front, front court positions. Nonetheless, he's not a consistent 3-point shooter. Why is he even shooting this? You have other guys on the team that should be shooting threes. Fuck, like I said, Ben Simmons should be learning how to shoot a 3 better than what he does. I just think, I don't know. I feel like from what I read, it's more of a mental thing with this kid. And the other thing too is not a knock against Doc Rivers. He has an NBA title. He's has winning seasons, but I think the biggest thing with Doc Rivers is, like, he just got outcoached. Like, you got outcoached by an Atlanta Hawk team that is, you have a superstar on the rise and Trae Young, and the rest of that team is a bunch of ragtag players. It's how I kind of feel like, it's
because Hartner,
Capella is on that team, great, and there's some other players on there, but there's really it's just a bunch of, like, second and third fiddle players that have been on other teams that are like ragtag.
What
It's
was
a
the white
ragtag
dude's
team
name?
put to.
Was it Hartner or Harder? I can't remember.
I had to double check. I can't remember all the time.
But how do you let that dude go off for like almost 30?
But you know what?
Like, what?
It's one of the things where, God, I'm see his face, but I'm having a brain for because what's his name took over as the coach for Atlanta, and him and Trae Young formed a relationship, and the rest of the team bought into what he was preaching. I mean, that's pretty much what helped them win that series against the Sixers. It's kind of like they're like this year's version of the Mighty Ducks. If you want to use an analogy, I'm being serious. Like like that is a team no one's expected to be in the Eastern Conference Finals right now against Milwaukee, and they came out and they beat Milwaukee in game 1. Now in game 2, Milwaukee talent showed up, and the talent they have on that team, and destroyed them in game 2, which I feel like this could be a run where Milwaukee finishes this series out and wins 4-1, maybe 4-2, but I feel like they're still going to win the series in 5, maybe 6, but I think it's going to be in 5.
Nobody expected the Canadians to be in the Stanley Cup final.
That's the thing about it is like it's weird. Like this basketball season for the playoffs resembles more of like a hockey playoff, because in hockey, like look at NBA right now. In the NBA, both number ones are gone. There's like, and it's very rare to not have at least one number 1 seed in the finals, in the conference finals. So this is more like a hockey season where you have, an 8 playing a 4 in the conference finals or something like that. It's more relevant in hockey because of how hockey's set up and how hockey works.
They showed a statistic when the Hawks finished the series with the Sixers. The Hawks haven't won it since, I forget what the year was. Milwaukee hasn't won it since some odd year. And both Phoenix and the Clippers have never won. So you have teams in this conference finals on both sides that are fucking 2 that never won and 2 that have not won in like 70 years.
Decades. Multiple decades.
Like, what the fuck is, like, where the hell did these teams come from? Like, and not to say Milwaukee's ever been bad all the time, but because they've been making the playoffs, in recent years. But it's like, where the hell did these teams come from? Like, all of a sudden, these are the teams that are in the fucking conference finals, and one of these teams that has never won, and one of these teams hasn't won for decades, is gonna be an NBA Finals like winner. It's like, this is crazy, and not that there's anything wrong with that. You need to see other teams become strong and play in the playoffs. I think that's important for the league. And I would love to see the Suns win, but it's just like crazy that you don't have like one of these teams that has won in the last, 30 years or less in the fucking finals. Or
to be honest with you, I like the way the playoffs have gone this far. It's a nice change in regards to how it usually goes. And think about like Milwaukee's a team that's kind of been in it, but it hasn't been able to really get over the hump per se, for multiple reasons within the team, players, chemistry, whatever. So it seems like they've kind of gotten their shit together this year. And like I said, Atlanta's like that Mighty Ducks type of team. They're making a run with a great young player he's going to be I think he's going to be a superstar. You have Phoenix, who has Devin Booker and Ayton, and with the veteran Chris Paul, who's helping that team, I think, get over the hump and be better. And then the Clippers finally finally put a team of veterans together that actually can do something. So, it's kind of one of those things. It's a nice change of pace. Pat should be happy. The Knicks had a winning season. They were in the playoffs. I mean, hey, look, both your teams lost to got taken down by the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, it should have been Philly and the Knicks playing instead of the Hawks and the Hawks and Philly.
That, of course, is the reason why I'm not happy, is because in the perception that I had was that the Hawks aren't any better than the Knicks, but sure didn't look that way in the series. Just to kind of build off what you guys are saying about how long it's been since these teams won championships. The Hawks lone championship was back in 1958, and they were still in St. Louis at the time.
Yeah, they were St. Louis Hawks.
So they weren't even Atlanta. The Bucks' last championship was in 1971 when Lou Alcindor and Oscar Robertson were on the team. So,
yeah.
Crazy, but
right?
you know, also putting that into some perspective, because you had to bring up my team. So the Bucks and the Hawks are two teams that have longer championship droughts in the NBA than even the Knicks do. Because the Knicks' last championship, I think, was in '73. You know, the Clippers and the Suns technically don't have a drought because they've never won one. So, and I'm pretty sure both franchises came into existence afterwards. So,
yeah, the Sixers drought is getting pretty long too, because their last championship was in the early '80s.
Yeah, wasn't it like 83?
83. Yeah, it's 83. Because it was, I think, like the last year that.
I'm not great at NBA history, so.
Yeah, I think it was 83, which is the last year I think that Julius Erving played too. I think that was his last season or something like that, or very close to his last season.
It was like 82 or 83. Yeah, 80.
But
it was very interesting because in Philly you had a lot of the only team that wasn't winning was the Eagles, because you had the Phillies win the World Series in the '80. You had the Broad Street Bullies winning in the '80s. Right, that was the '80s too, I believe. The Broad Street Bullies era.
I thought when they won though it was in the '70s.
Maybe it was late '70s. Maybe I got the time frame wrong.
Yeah,
and then you had the Sixers
win. The '80s in the NHL, I think, were pretty well dominated by like the Islanders and the Oilers. But I think the Flyers may not have won in the '80s. I think it might have been in the '70s, but I'd have to look that up, which I'm not doing at the present. But as this Suns Clippers game was winding down, for whatever reason, I was just like browsing the web, went to ESPN.com the other night, just in time to see that ending.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the alley-oop?
The alley-oop, yeah.
Yeah, that was insane.
You know, it was like, whoever was the announcer, it was Van Gundy or whoever the color guy was saying about, I think this is the time where you got to try to do the alley-oop day-in. And then they go and they do it and they pull it off. And I'm just like saying, I was like sitting here dumbfounded because I'm saying to myself, I don't think I've ever actually seen a team pull that off before. You know, especially because like there was like 9/10 of a second left. So I was just like, I was pretty stunned and amazed and everything just looking at that. So I was like, God damn.
And I mean, it worked just because of the fact that, you know, their star player Devin Booker makes that screen happen, does that screen to get 8 and open because they couldn't cheat on that play. So they kind of had no choice, which was kind of crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Broad Street Bullies wins were 74 and 75.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a little off. Close enough to the '80s though, that they were still considered winners.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we talk about championship droughts again. Like the Knicks are the only team that I root for who haven't won in my lifetime. You know, I've seen the Yankees win the World Series 5 times. I've seen the Giants win the Super Bowl 4 times. I actually saw the Rangers win a Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had been 54 years, and of course they've only even gotten back to the Cup Finals once since then. So, but I've seen North Carolina win multiple national championships in basketball. I guess I haven't really seen my college football team win a national championship because Penn State, I mean, they won in '82 and '86, which were both in my lifetime, but I wasn't following Penn State.
Neither was I.
Like '86 was the first year I ever really watched football. I was 5 years old, and I was only ever watching the Giants that year. I mean, I wasn't watching college football. And even though Notre Dame won in 1988, I was not a Notre Dame fan in 1988. So, yeah, I only became a Notre Dame fan when I started considering going there. So before that, I hated Notre Dame.
I mean, I've been able to see all my teams win a championship. I mean, I was still old enough to remember the Bears Super Bowl. But I mean, the Cubs were the only one I was really worried about. If I would ever see them do anything.
Yeah, but like you said to me once before, and you know, shit, you're wearing the hat. You know, you got to see the White Sox in 2005 before the Cubs did. So you at least got the one baseball. You know.
Yeah, one out of the two.
Yeah, I've seen the the Phillies win and I've seen the Eagles win, but I have yet to see a Flyers or Sixers victory. So
I mean, I'll just always be perfectly blunt with you. You know, you're damn lucky you saw the Eagles win.
I know. I don't think I'm going to see it again. I don't think I'll see another one in my lifetime because they're like, I feel like they're actually fucking treading backwards right now instead of trying to go forward. But
At the
who
moment,
knows?
it does seem a little bit like they're trying to figure out what they want to do. But I mean, it's like it really says something where you decide what 3 years or 4 years now after you win a Super Bowl, you ditch the coach and the quarterback who.
Yeah, 3 years because they won it in 17.
Now I know Foles played in the Super Bowl and everything, but you know Wentz was the quarterback during the season and everything. But you know you really got to be thinking that something's going wrong if at so short a period of time after you win the Super Bowl, you ditch the people who got you there.
Well, and see the problem. My big thing is in you know the organization will never fucking admit this, but there was something special about the coaching staff that helped those players be the players that they were that year because they had the same kind of adversity pretty much every single year since then. So what is the difference between then when they won and now? My personal opinion, coaching staff. There was a difference in the coaching staff and the way that they were able to relate to the players. Now, Doug is a very players coach, but he had other people there. Frank Reich is very well known for being able to talk to Carson in the language that Carson understands and can relate to and works best under. Why do you think he went to Indianapolis where fucking Frank Reich is? You know, the other coach that they had, and I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he went on to be the play caller, offensive coordinator at another team, and he's had success. The only person that hasn't had success since all this happened was Doug. So it was the whole thing that happened, and it's what happens when teams win Super Bowls. The other coaches that are not the head coach and under contract get offered coaching jobs other places. It happens all the time. The Eagles did a very, very poor job of replacing and being able to keep the same momentum with the key factors that they had. There was dissension in the locker room because Alshon Jeffries did not want to fucking be there. He did not want to play. Whether it was Carson that he didn't want to play for, or he just didn't like the Eagles organization, I have no fucking clue. They tried to say it was Carson, that he didn't like playing for Carson because he thought Carson was not a good person. You know, eventually the culture is killing the culture in the Eagles organization from management that goes and that feeds right into your locker room is fucking killing that organization. And they can say whatever they want to. Oh, we got a great culture. The fuck you do. Because why do players not want to play there right now? Why are your players that are supposed to be your franchise players, like your quarterback, why don't they want to fucking be there? There's a reason. You can't tell me your culture is good. So eat shit.
Were you referring to John DeFilippo?
Yes, John DeFilippo. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the quarterback's coach, and then he left to go be the Vikings offensive coordinator. He was only in that job for 1 year. Then he was the Jaguars offensive coordinator for 1 year, and now he's with Joe's team. He was the Bears quarterbacks coach last year. This year he is quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator for the Bears. But yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, the Giants won the Super Bowl back in 1990. And, you know, it was largely the same coaching staff that had won them the Super Bowl 4 years prior to that in 1986. You know, it was, you know, Parcells was the head coach. Belichick was the defensive coordinator. Ron Earhart was the offensive coordinator in 86. I don't remember if he was still the offensive coordinator in 90. I think he was. But look what happened to the Giants coaching staff after that 1990 season. Belichick got the head coaching job with the Browns. Tom Coughlin was the wide receivers coach for the team. He left to take the head coaching job at Boston College, which is what really put him on the map then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like they had the big upset of Notre Dame a few years later, and then he really parlayed that into the Jaguars job, and then of course he eventually found his way back to the Giants. So Belichick left, Coughlin left, Ron Earhart. Earhart has still been the offense coordinator in 1990 because he retired. So they promoted Ray Hanley from running backs coach to offensive coordinator. All right. So he's never been a coordinator before, at least not at the NFL level. Then all of a sudden, after Coughlin's gone, after Belichick's gone, Parcells up and decides he's retiring. That happened in like May of 1991. So like the team really had no way to try to get another like top flight head coach. And they did the dumbest fucking thing they possibly could do. And they took Ray Hanley, who had only just been promoted to offensive coordinator, and promoted him to head coach. And over the course of the next 2 years, the team went 14-18 with largely the same personnel that had just won them a Super Bowl. Now, a bunch of those guys were getting old, like Sims and LT and Leonard Marshall and, a few other guys and everything. And they did themselves no favors by never really settling the quarterback dispute between Sims and Jeff Hostetler and everything. But the organization made a terrible decision in response to what was a tough situation when Parcells decides to up and retire suddenly. It's like, hey, Bill, couldn't you have retired right after the Super Bowl? We would have just handed the job to Belichick, And not saying Belichick would have been a great coach then, because he obviously he had some success there with Cleveland in the early and mid 90s. He got into the playoffs.
Well, Cleveland still
right
going on the down shit anyway too.
And you also have no idea if Belichick would have succeeded with the Giants in that scenario and everything. But again, it would have. I still can't see how it would not have been better than what they had. So the organization tripped over its feet, and Well,
and here's one more thing that with the Eagles organization just tells me there's something wrong there. Deuce Staley, who has been an exceptional running backs coach for quite a couple years, the players love him. He's a players coach. Brings a good culture into the locker room for the running backs and stuff like that, and is really taking what shitty type some pretty shitty guys that shouldn't even be on the NFL team. They should be on the practice squad, and made them productive, helped make them productive NFL players in the backfield. They made him the assistant offensive coordinator, which means he doesn't fucking do shit as an offensive coordinator, except for maybe have a say in, this might be a good play that we could try. That's about as much as he gets to say, if anything. They fucking overlooked him a fucking second time for the offensive coordinator fucking position. They refused to even think about giving him an opportunity to be the offensive coordinator and let him step up and do something that he's very well qualified to at least get a shot. At least a shot. He fucking walked away from the organization. He said, well, okay, you guys aren't going to promote me. I'm sorry. I'm no longer going to be here. Like, he fucking walked away. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, give me a legitimate reason why he's not qualified for that position. Why is he not qualified for that position? You're giving it to the coach that they brought in. Damn it. Why can't I think of his name?
Their current coach?
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Sirianni?
Yeah, Nick Sirianni. What the fuck has he proven that he's done? He was the offensive coordinator for fucking for Frank Reich. He didn't have to fucking do shit. Frank Reich is the play caller. Don't tell me he's not. Frank Reich's calling the play calls. Yeah. So Nick Sirianni, all he did was learn for a year. That's the same thing that fucking Doug did. He learned for like a year under under Andy Reid, and then fucking came to the Eagles. Now you're doing the same shit. You're trying to reinvent the fucking wheel.
Staley got fucked. Yeah, I feel bad for him because he has such high praise from so many people, and he deserved the shot.
Yeah,
there's no reason.
Here's the only thing that I could possibly maybe think of. Did Staley get an interview for the head coaching job after they fired Peterson?
No, he did not.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that is weird because, according to his Wikipedia,
Clippers
in addition to being running backs coach over the last 3 seasons, he was assistant head coach.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They gave him assistant head coach. That's right.
So not assistant offensive coordinator, but assistant head coach, which makes you think that you're grooming him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if they didn't even give him an interview, maybe it's because they felt he was too close. Phoenix won. Maybe they thought he was too closely connected to Peterson. I don't know, but yeah. So now he's the assistant head coach and running backs coach for the Lions, who
It's going to help that team.
But my point is, they have a new head coach this year too. So from Staley's perspective, it basically was a lateral move. You know, he didn't get promoted or anything. But again, yeah, it's like he's a guy who played for the franchise and was a pretty good player for the franchise. And if you decide that, you know, you're not even going to give him a interview and you're going to risk losing him, which is what ended up happening, it does make one wonder a little. So
I think for Deuce Staley, he's going to go to a Detroit Lions team who legitimately have not had a good running back since Barry Sanders. They've had ups and downs. They've drafted good running backs, but they've never had coaches to be able to make those running backs produce in the NFL. So if he proves and gets those running backs up to speed and gets them productive, that's going to be another notch in his belt to be like, hey, fuckers, I deserve a shot. So I think that's kind of going to a team like Detroit, which needs a good running backs coach and assistant coach and all that shit. This could be beneficial for him in the long run.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated when you look at like NFL coaching staffs from year to year to see how many times you recognize like the name of a former player, and it's like, oh, that guy's coaching now.
Yeah.
Like Miles Austin, remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's the Jets wide receivers coach now. You know,
I mean, look at Tampa Bay. I mean, you get Tom Brady, and who's the offensive coordinator? A former quarterback, Brian Leftwich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like you have an ex-quarterback who has a good offensive mind to be a coordinator, tagged together with greatest quarterback probably of all time, Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's going to learn some new shit. And Brian Leftwich, you damn know, well, no, he's learning some shit from Tom Brady. So that's just, you know, icing on the cake for Brian Leftwich. But another guy who was a talented quarterback, just didn't happen for him in the NFL. But from what I've read about him too, he's a talented guy as far as his mind and putting a scheme and a plan together as an offensive coordinator. So it's working out for him.
It's one of those things. Some guys are talented enough to make it to, you know, the big show, NBA, NFL, you know, hockey, whatever it may be, but maybe they just don't have that it factor that makes them a great player, but they have the great mind that helps the other players that have the it factor be the great players that they are. They know how to coach those people because they understand what the player themselves is going through because they've done it, but they also have the mind of being able to put together the scheme, put together the, you know, this is going to work, this won't work, you know, try this, you know, they can put all that shit together. And that's what makes a really good coach is understanding what the players are going through, most likely because they've done it. And then having that mindset of, okay, being able to analyze things that the player themselves doesn't necessarily see. It's just crazy, but that's cool.
Yeah.
So I can honestly say I'm looking forward to football, but I'm not really looking forward to watching the Eagles play, even though I will watch every single game.
I mean, I'm waiting for sports bets to see like what the sports bets are, to see what they have.
The odds.
The odds of what game they think Justin Fields will start for the Bears.
Oh man. I put it within the first 4 to 5 games. That's what I'm putting. I'm putting the over under 4 to 5.
I'm going to be watching the Bears as much as I watch any other team that's not the Giants or one of the other NFC.
I know, because of draft picks.
Because of that pick coming to the Giants next year. Because hey, depending upon what the fuck happens with the Giants this year, they may be looking for a quarterback next year. So. Yeah. You know, I've already been looking up to see, like, you know, all right, who are the top quarterback prospects in next year's draft and everything, and you know, kind of looking at all of them right now and just going like, I don't know. It's like, oh wait, a guy from Liberty, you know, and shit like that. So, you know, we'll just see how all of that shakes out. But
All right, gentlemen. So we have been going for 2.5 hours now. I think we should. I think we got to call. I think we got to call it a night. Call it a night with this episode.
Well, I just want to throw one other thing out here real quick because we barely talked about it at all as a subject, which is fine. But did you know, or do you realize that tomorrow? Well, hey, it's after midnight, so today now is the 10-year anniversary of the pipe bomb promo.
Wow, that is crazy. Shit, he's been out of wrestling for that fucking long.
Well,
a little bit
shortly after
less than that, but
2014, I think is when he walked out. So that's 7.5 years. But it's like, my God, it's been 10 years since he sat down on top of that stage and started cutting that promo and everything. So
Colt Cabana.
How you doing, Colt Cabana?
I actually, speaking of the wrestling, I actually watched today the Stone Cold biography on A&E. They were showing a replay, and I started watching the Macho Man one before we started the podcast. The Stone Cold one is interesting, considering the fact that he actually says the reason he took his ball and went home is because they wanted him to do a work for Brock.
And he didn't want to do it because Brock, they didn't have any story behind it. There was no reason that they were fighting. He was just like, it doesn't fucking make sense.
It's at a time where they were clearly just like, oh, the ratings are slipping. What do we do to get them better?
Put the young kid against a veteran.
Why don't we have Stone Cold go job out to Brock, but we're not going to promote the match in any way and say it's a king. We're just going to say it's a King of the Ring qualifying match. I mean, it was bad. Those, in a lot of ways, I don't blame him for walking out. So, like I said, I actually do have a lot of admiration for those guys who are basically able to say, I don't need this. That's why, like I remember, our good friend there being so pissy when Punk walked out, and I was like, if you felt like they weren't using him properly and he wasn't enjoying what he was doing, I kind of admire him for saying fuck you. And
other professions do it all the time. I don't like working here. I'm going to go find another fucking job.
Exactly. It's like that's the way employment works and everything. But
it was that and some other stuff with medical teams and things. There was a bunch of things, but each one of their things was a little bit different. But I mean, it's hard because like their profession compared to what we do as normal people, normal 9-to-5 jobs, however you want to describe it.
Do not lump me in with the rest of you normal people, all right?
The 9-to-5ers, it's totally different. It's totally different. Yeah, Vince was pissed. It was like he got punched in the balls. Like he always got kicked in the balls from Stone Cold. But could Stone Cold have done it differently? Yeah, he's already admitted to that. But at the same point, where he was at the time in his life, he was just kind of like mentally drained. It's like, why the fuck are you doing this to me? So, like, it made no sense. So he's just like, I'm done. I think he was already worn out from other shit and his divorce and all our crap. So
the injuries, I think, were really starting to get to that point and everything. But just kind of talking about the whole A&E biography series, I thought overall they were very good. That Savage one, though.
I watched the first 15 minutes of that one. It was.
Tell me what you think once you get to the end of it, because there was a lot of controversy in like the Twitterverse and just like the online wrestling world with the Savage episode, especially when compared to some of the others. So.
Well, I don't think Bob the Love Sponge fat piece of shit needs to be on any fucking thing that's wrestling related that A&E did. I don't know why he was in any of the biographies, because that guy's fucked over a lot of people. I'm not just talking about the Hogan thing, but other wrestlers and done some shitty shit. So I don't even know what the fuck to talk to that guy.
Cornette reviewed, I want to say, every episode, and I'm pretty sure he was like, what the fuck is that motherfucker doing there?
Well, yeah, I don't.
Bischoff was pissed off that he didn't know he was going to be on any of this shit either, and he was pretty pissed about it.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't make sense because he was part of the whole he was like a real dick to Savage. Like when Savage, now granted, Savage did put out a freaking rap song, which was kind of silly and kind of weird too, but like he went on and blasted him, like hard blasted him and pretty much just tried to destroy him as far as his character and everything. It was like really terrible.
Yeah, and he used people. He was a user. He used a lot of people. So he used a lot of people for his own gain and his own celebrity and whatnot.
Well, yeah,
so
he was only friends with Hogan's. He used Hogan to beef up his own personal his own personal status.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
And he basically screwed over Hogan too. So
yeah, he's just a piece of shit in general.
Because didn't he leak the Hogan tape?
Supposedly, well, I mean, it was with his wife, so you could say that Hogan was screwing him and everything. But I mean, just put it this way: anything that involves that whole Hogan sex tape and everything, nobody came out of it looking good.
No.
Just all around, it's just one of the biggest things in wrestling. So
so I after watching the Stone Cold one, there was I mean, I've listened to a lot of his podcasts, but a lot of the podcasts are talking about other people, not so much him. So it was kind of good to see like a perspective in regards to what he was going through. And it's different. Like people could be mad about him taking his ball and, going home, but like the life those guys live, like when you're a fan and you're just watching it, you're like, oh my God, what's he doing? But at the same point, we're not living that lifestyle. We don't know what that lifestyle is like. Yeah. We have our 9-to-5 jobs. We get stressed out, pissed off about our jobs and coworkers and stuff like that. But, one, we're not getting paid as much money as them. Two, they have their stress level is 100 times worse than ours.
Yeah, we go back to the same home every night.
Yeah, they're living in cars, living in hotels, and it doesn't matter if it's a fancy hotel. You're still living in a fucking hotel. No matter how nice it is or whatever the case may be. So it's just that lifestyle of traveling and barely seeing your family. That takes a toll. I mean, it's, you talk about how it's
become dependent on other substances to get through this stress and the day-to-days that they have to deal with. So,
he talked about him still repairing his relationship with his two daughters. Like that's just.
Yeah, that was the one part of that I almost kind of wish they had spent a little bit more time on, because his daughters weren't interviewed for, which it's like, I'm just going to assume they didn't want to be, which obviously is their choice.
Yeah.
But when he's talking about the fact that, his first wife, who was British as far as I know.
Yeah, she was from Britain or something like that.
Yeah, like took them to England on like a visit, and then 9/11 happened, and then she got scared to get back on an airplane and everything. So she never came back with the girls. And then he said, he's talking on the phone, and all of a sudden they've got British accents, and he flip them out and everything. He implied that his relationship with his daughters is better now. I got the feeling it's still not great.
No.
And again, I could understand he didn't want to go more in depth into that, but in a lot of respects, that ended up being one of the more, interesting parts of the whole story.
Interesting, genuine parts. Yeah.
It's obviously they're going over his wrestling career and everything, but it's I'm not really, for me, I'm not really getting a lot new out of it. Just by comparison, the Booker T one, wrestling isn't even mentioned until about 40 minutes into it, because they're talking about the hard youth he had, his run-ins with the law, his robbery spree, if you will. Straightening himself out in jail and everything like that. So, it's that really helps you better understand who he is now and everything, than just saying, well, he started on Global Wrestling Federation, and then he moved over to WCW, and he went with his brother, and then eventually he became WCW. So obviously they cover all of that, but it's what happened to him before he ever got into wrestling is really a lot more interesting than what he ever did in wrestling. So, The other thing too was like with that entire series, the whole like 8 episodes they did of it, and this is something Cornette and his co-host kept mentioning on when they were reviewing. It wasn't the same people doing every episode. It was like a different group of filmmakers doing every episode. So there's little like filmmaking flares that are different from like one episode to the next. So you're not going to necessarily get like a consistent viewing experience, I guess you could say. That doesn't really detract from everything. Like I said, I thought all of them were pretty good except for the Savage one, and I thought a lot of the Savage one was good, but again, you just watch the whole thing and I think you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, I gotta watch. I think the last part of I watched was and it made me laugh. I'm like, Hogan, you're so dumb sometimes. Savage and Steamboat were trying to upstage me and Giant, and then like the next thing, Steamboat's like, yep, we knew Hogan and Giant were the main event. Me and Randy had to do what we had to do to upstage them. I was like, that's fucking awesome.
It's
I was like, come on now, man.
I mean,
please.
There's a slight bit to where Hogan's right in that. And that's the whole thing, that Savage Steamboat could never upstage Hogan Andre in terms of spectacle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in terms of what people bought their tickets to see. Because obviously if you bought a ticket to go to WrestleMania 3, it was to see Hogan Andre. And anything else basically was like icing on the cake. The fact that you got treated to one of the best WWF matches ever was a bonus. But you were there to see Hogan Andre. As plotting and as 80s big man match as it was,
163 spots.
That's just insane though. Like, just
I could never memorize that. Are you kidding me? And I feel like I have a pretty good memory, but it's like 163 spots for a wrestling match. At some point I'm gonna confuse step 84 with step 112.
But that's what you gotta do to be the best.
Yeah, I gotta finish. I gotta see when it's on again so I can finish watching it.
That's the way
it might be on demand too. I should check it out.
That's the way Savage always was though. Like Bruce Pritchard's told the story that when Dusty came to WWF and he was working that program with Savage throughout 1990, they kept doing the match on the house show loop the way Dusty wanted it done. And Pat Patterson started bitching at Savage and Pritchard because like Brother Love was like cornering for Savage and Sherry during this time because they were doing like a lot of those like mixed tag matches. So Pritchard says that Pat Patterson starts bitching, why are you letting this guy from the South come up and tell you what to do? No, you're the WWF guy. You run the match. So Pritchard says that like, they go talk to Dusty before like the next show and like they go into the bathroom because he said that's where you always get the business done. And Pritchard saying like Savage starts and he's like, "Well, Dream, we're gonna do things a little differently tonight, and Brother Love, why don't you tell him how it's gonna go?" So he's like leaving it to Pritchard to tell Dusty what they're gonna do. So Pritchard lays out.
That just shows the amount of respect that Savage had for Dusty. Probably. Not to want to step on his toes and say, okay, we'll do it the way you want to do it.
Right. So Pritchard goes through the whole spiel, like this whole match that he and Savage have come up with. And Dusty's standing there and he just finally goes, "It feels like going against the grain, baby." And Savage goes, "Okay, I understand what you're saying, and well, that's what we're gonna do. See you out there."
The one part I always forget about is I forget that him and Elizabeth had been married like before he even got into the WWF.
Oh yeah, I think they were married from 84 to 92. So the ironic part is when they do the whole SummerSlam thing, that's in 91, and they're actually divorced the next year.
Yeah.
And then of course they did all the stuff in WCW then too. When they brought her back in like 96, and then at first she's with him and then she like turns on him and they do the whole thing where she's like giving all his money to Flair, and then when the NWO stuff starts and like the NWO kind of like kidnaps her, and then they're almost like holding her like as like a hostage for a couple of months, and then And then Savage comes back and ends up joining the NWO. So then they're reunited and they started the whole feud with Paige.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Okay.
You know what?
I'm done looking at both of you guys now.
You say that, and I want to say Bischoff might have started singing that song when they did that.
Why would that not surprise me?
Savage. I want to say he did that, but I don't remember for sure.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
That's too funny.
All
right.
right. Yes.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our show with that little singing thing that I did, which was terrible. But it's been a fun show. It's been a great show. We appreciate everybody for watching, wherever you're catching this. If you're listening to it, we thank you for listening. We're just happy to see that there are more and more people catching our episodes and listening to them, and hopefully finding the enjoyment that that we are having doing them, that you guys are getting the same enjoyment out of listening to them or watching them. So
Shenanigans.
Yes, our shenanigans. So this was more of a bullshit session than it was of sports session, but that's okay because it had to be entertaining because I was laughing my ass off a lot. So
our offbeat shenanigans. Is that how I think Christian always said it was? So.
Yes. So with that, we're going to say good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and we'll catch you on the next episode.